Welcome, everybody, to my mid-season driver rankings for the 2025 Formula One season. We are going to go through every single driver. I've done my rankings off stream. We're going to go through every single driver and talk about how their seasons have been so far. And I'm going to rank them from worst to best. There's also going to be a poll up in Twitch chat that you guys can vote on to rate them out of 10. Unfortunately, I can't do like a ranking because it's just 21 drivers we have to go through, so it's not possible. So you guys will just be able to rate out of 10 how you think their seasons have done. So if you think a driver's done well, you can give them a 7 or 8. If you think they've done bad, give them a 2 or 3. And then we can kind of get a general consensus of what you rate them. But yeah, I'm going to be ranking the drivers. Now, how I've come to these ranking conclusions. So what I did was I first went through and ranked the drivers from best to worst without looking at anything, just vibes, pure vibes. I then went and calculated, finally, I made a spreadsheet of all my driver ratings. If you don't know, every single Monday after a Grand Prix, we hop on the stream and we do driver ratings where we rate the drivers' weekends, their performances, solely their performances. And I averaged out their rating and then put them in order from best to worst and compared it to my list that I just did off of vibes. And honestly, it was quite close. Generally, the top 6, 7 kind of stayed the exact same. The bottom 6, 7 stayed about the exact same. It was the middle that was fucked because you've got drivers who have been consistently and you've had drivers who have had great moments and then bad moments. It was really hard to decide on the mid-pack. But overall, I was pretty happy that the fact that my vibes kind of end up being really close to my driver rating averages. So anyways, basically, I've combined my vibes with the driver rating averages and kind of gotten this list here. So there's one driver in particular who has a pretty decent driver rating average, but they've actually like been moved. I moved them down a fair bit in the rankings because I feel like, I don't know, I just felt like their rating didn't really reflect how their performance has been so far. But everyone else is basically roughly rated based off of their rating. Average rating for the season. And I've just done a few movements around depending on, like, say a rookie, slightly their expectation and how I think they're doing so far this season as a whole versus a driver who, you know, maybe had high expectations. But mainly we're basing it off of performances. So yeah, do you have chat's averages? I can't really do chat's averages because you guys vote like across so many different rankings. I know it would just be way too hard to calculate. But maybe in the future we could do like a spreadsheet instead of a poll on stream. But yeah. Anyways, let's get into it. First off, first thing I want to know before we get into it is who do you think is going to be, what do you think my top 5 is going to be? Before we do any ratings, what do you think my top 5 is going to be? In order, what do you think my top 5 is going to be? Senna, thank you for the follow. Joshuns, Will, welcome to the stream. Guys, if you're watching on TikTok or YouTube right now, come over to Twitch. That is where you can vote in the Twitch chat on the polls. Yeah, it's going to be good. Piastri, Verstappen, Norris, Leclerc, Russell, Colapinto, Doohan, Stroll, Bam, is that the bottom 5? Max, Piastri, George, Albon, Leclerc. Max, Russell, Piastri, Leclerc, Albon. 5 Liam, 4 Lawson. Okay, this guy's trolling. All right, let's get into it. Starting off with the 21st ranked driver in last place. Who do you guys think I've got? Who do you think I've got in last? Let's start off with last. Colapinto, Franco, Colapinto, Doohan, Colapinto for sure. Doohan, Colapinto. Yeah, it's definitely between them two. But in last, I decided to put Franco Colapinto. Now, poll is up in chat, guys. So for every single driver, there's going to be a poll up in Twitch chat. All you have to do is type the number you want to rate them out of 10. Unfortunately, I can't do a ranking because there's 21 drivers to rank. It's just impossible. So instead, we're just going to do a rating. So you just rate them out of 10, how you think they've done. And yeah, now looking at each driver, we're going to have at the top, you're going to have the rankings. So what I rank them out of 21 drivers. So obviously Franco coming in last, 21st. Then I've got their championship position. So you can see where they are in the championship. So Franco being 20th. And then I've got their average rating. So that's their average rating across their ratings so far this season. So it's taking all the races they've done this season, averaging out their rating. And that's the rating they got. So my average rating for Colapinto this season is 3.86. So obviously these rankings are based off of the rankings I've done. So you might see like some drivers have a higher average rating and they're going to get ranked higher or lower than some drivers. Anyways, that's just there so you can reference. So yeah, fun fact, Colapinto doesn't have the lowest average rating of the season. He was second lowest. So yeah. Anyways, let's talk about Franco Colapinto. So yeah, look, Franco Colapinto coming in mid-season, I guess. No, not even mid-season. Mid halfway point of the season with expectations to out-deliver what Doohan was doing. Now, obviously, Doohan was off to a slow start. We'll talk more about Doohan very soon. But I think Colapinto came in with some high expectations, and I think he's really under-delivered. The reason I put him below Doohan is because I think Doohan was showing progress. You know, Doohan started off very slow, but we saw him progressing over time. Whereas Colapinto, he's come in and, if I'm being honest, I haven't really seen him improve. He crashed instantly in Imola, which was bad. He's had a few other crashes and incidents. He's had some silly moments, such as burning the clutch off the race start. And overall, I think he's kind of like not shown progress in comparison to Gasly. I think his last race of the season, I am going to refer to my spreadsheet a lot. Yeah, so his best rating so far this season I gave in Canada, he got a 6. So his best race of the season is only just slightly above average. He's been getting 2s and 4s basically the whole season so far. And I can't even remember what he fucking did in Canada, to be honest. Excuse me. But yeah, I feel like he hasn't shown progress in comparison to Doohan. And that's the reason why I've got him in 21st. But yeah, what do you guys think? Joshua Hippo, what does that do about the stream? Australian bias warning. Yeah, old trolling. Did you hear he crashed in the tire test? I mean, yeah, I didn't include that in the ranking, but crashing in a tire test is so bad, bro. It's so bad. Ninja Falcon, they even followed it. Franco was at least quick in the Williams. He is not in that car. Yeah, so I mean, I feel like he's kind of gone backwards this year. You know what I mean? Way too much for Crash Pinto. I think Doohan has more potential. Quality has improved. Crashed in the tire test. I mean, he did poor, but did out-qualify Gasly once or twice. I still think that Colapinto and Doohan need full seasons to understand how to drive the car. Yeah, yeah. When you say they need full seasons, should they have a full season though? Like, I guess my question is, at what point is it like, okay, well, if they can't adapt to the car after half a season, like Hadja or like Bortoletto, like, or Behrman, or, you know what I mean? Like, at what point does it like make sense for them to be dropped? But then again, look at how much Bortoletto has improved so far this season as an example, or Liam even. Did Doohan really get a fair shot? Not really. I think Doohan needed more time. I think if Doohan had stayed in Alpine, he would have racked at least 1 point by now. Every rookie should have 2 seasons. A rookie should have full season unless they're really, really bad. His fans are low-key saving him. 3 for all the money and fans he brings to the sport, and 0.86 for his actual performance. Yeah, I don't like half-season swaps. Give them a season or don't hire them in the first place. Fair enough, fair enough. You should do the Rookie Destructor Championship. Liam crashed cheaply. Liam crashed cheaply. When did Liam crash? Liam had the one crash in Australia. That's it. But yeah. Anyways, I don't really have much more to say about Colapinto. I think he's coming with... Again, these are rankings. Even though he has a higher average rating than... Well, spoiler alert. He has a higher average rating than Jack Doohan, based off of my ratings so far this season. I still put him below Doohan because I feel like his expectations for the season was to come in and to do well, and he's not been doing that. And where I saw progress with Doohan, even though Doohan started off a really bad point, he was getting better. Whereas Colapinto, he's not getting better. And all Colapinto needed to do was to hop in the car and to drive, keep the car out of the wall. And I think he's done the opposite. He's had multiple crashes, and it's been... if I'm being honest, quite embarrassing. So I have got Franco in 21st. Majority of you guys saying a 2 out of 10 so far for Franco this season. I agree. It's not been absolutely terrible. It's not been like a Mazepin or a Latifi season, but it's still been quite bad. So I agree on the 2 out of 10. All right. Moving on to 20th. We have got... Who do you think I've got in 20th? Do I even bother asking? Munge and Finn, thank you guys for the follows. Welcome to the stream. In 20th, I have got Jack Doohan. Poll is up in chat. Get your votes in. What do you rate Jack Doohan's 2025 season? Yeah, so like I said, Jack Doohan actually has a lower average rating than Colapinto in the driver ratings, but I've still put him higher than Doohan. I've still put him higher than Colapinto because I do feel like Doohan was progressing, but they both were bad. You know, Doohan started off so slow at the start of the season. He had that crash in Australia, which, yes, it was bad conditions, but it was a poor mistake. And then, you know, China, I think he had a good sprint and then a bad race. Actually, look at Dylan's ratings real quick. His best rating of the season was a 6.5 in Bahrain. But yeah, then he was getting 3s and below for the rest of the season. So, yeah, I feel like I was seeing progress, and that's the only reason I put Dylan above Colapinto. I think Colapinto in the second half of the season will just ultimately end up passing Dylan in the rankings solely because he has more time to show himself, unless he shows himself even badly than what he's doing now, which is going to be hard to do. But yeah, I don't really have much more to say about Dylan. I'm not here to, we're not here to talk about, oh, well, if he had more time in the car or this, that, and the other. Plain and simple, he had his time in the car. He didn't really do well. Should he had more time? Probably. But only having one race where you actually did decent, and it wasn't even that good of a race, isn't great. But then again, as a rookie, at the start of the season, there was a lot of pressure around these guys, so it kind of makes sense why underperform. Doing had to go because his hairstyle was too similar to Hedges. Okay. Doing it is a bit of inconclusive, to be honest. Yeah, a little bit. Sup, Finn, welcome to the stream. But yeah, what do you guys rate Doing It season out of 10? Get your votes in. Doing it, where read that? Yuki Franco know how to wreck a car. Yeah, I feel like we're starting off kind of boring with the ratings because, I mean, Doing and Colapinto are just like, they're bad and we know they're bad. But yeah, I must say, other than Doing and Colapinto, maybe the next driver as well. Other than those 2 to 3 drivers, I feel like everyone's having a good season. If I'm being honest, like if you compare it to a few seasons ago, we are like, well, that person's under-delivering, that person's underperforming. I feel like everyone, other than these two and the next driver I mentioned, are like actually doing kind of decent this season, or having really, really good moments. So yeah. So I keep forgetting to read YouTube chat. He didn't do well, I agree, but at the same time, he deserved more time. Yeah, but I'm not gonna bump his rating up because he deserved more time. We're just rating it solely. But yeah, I was tossing up again. I was tossing up between Colapinto and Doing for last. I just think plain and simple. Colapinto's come in, been bad, and not improved, whereas Doing came in and was bad, but at least showed a little bit of improvement. That's the only reason why I put Doing higher. I think the expectations at the end of the day, he got outweighed. PG10, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Same with you, James. All right, majority of you guys saying a 3 out of 10 for Doing. I'd probably say a 2.5 out of 10 for Doing, if I'm being honest. I think 3 maybe is a little bit too high, but I see the vision. All right, next up, who do you guys think I have in 19th position? Less bad. Even Franco and Doing, I don't think have been completely shit. Yuki, Sonoda. Yeah. You guys are... Oh, no, sorry. Well, first off, here's the ranking so far. Doing and Colapinto in 20th. I couldn't be bothered remaking this graphic to have a 21st option, so I've literally just put Doing and Colapinto as 20. So cry about it. Anyways, in 19th, I have got Yuki Tsunoda. It's tough, man. It is tough for Yuki because he started off the season at VCARB with 2 great drives. In Australia, I gave Yuki an 8 out of 10. And then in China, I gave Yuki a 9 out of 10, which is, I believe, yeah, his best rating of the season. But since he hopped in that Red Bull, he's had a 3.5, a 6, a 1.5, a 6, a 2, a 3.5, a 2.5, a 3, a 2, a 2.5, a 4.5, a 3. He's only had 2 races above average since he's hopped in that Red Bull. Every other race has been quite shocking. Now, look, we're at that point now where we know it's the second Red Bull seat. We know Yuki's not a bad driver. For anyone tuning in and thinking, oh, you're harsh on Yuki, it's the second Red Bull seat. I understand, right? This is not me saying Yuki's bad. But factually speaking, this season, he is the second worst or third worst driver this season. Factually speaking, he's having the third worst season because he's in a car that is so hard to drive. And if you can't drive it, you're going to look bad. Obviously, we can talk a little bit about it. How's he doing in comparison to the other Red Bull drivers? Obviously, we'll talk about Liam soon. I think Yuki's shown maybe he can be closer to Max than what Liam was. But I think the exact reason why I wanted Liam in the car instead of Yuki is kind of showing with Yuki at the moment, where he just pushes a little bit too hard. Like, Yuki could actually be quick, but he just overdoes it. And just, he'll have it here, like that big crash at Imola or a few other tracks where he has the spin or whatever. But yeah, I'd say Yuki and Liam in comparison to Perez, they've done a good job of not crashing as much and not spinning as much, but they've both just been quite slow. But yeah, look at Yuki's average rating, 4.07. Obviously, if it wasn't for the 8s and 9s that he got, the 8 and 9 he got at the start of the season, this would be even lower. So thank God for that little double V carb stint. But yeah, maybe there's an argument Yuki's doing. No, I was gonna say, is there an argument that Yuki's doing worse than Colapinto and doing? No, because those, at the end of the day, he had those 2 races at V carb where he absolutely delivered, and Jack and Colapinto didn't have any good race. So yeah. Slow Noda at Red Bull, to be honest. What's up, Pebble? Who did you put in 20th? When I go to the next screen, you'll be able to see the full standings. Now, this is Red Bull's second seat curse. The RB21 is worse than the RB20, but Yuki has been bad this season, just according to your ratings. Liam didn't stay enough in the Red Bull, though, and didn't get to drive recent upgrades. Not that it would be much different. Yeah, I think we have to take into consideration the fact that we compared Yuki to Max in terms of performance, but if to fix the car and don't put Max in the equation, he is having an average season, in my opinion. Okay, I see. Yuki already at 2 mil in damages. That's mainly because of that huge shunt in Imola, though, right? At least Yuki scored points in the Red Bull. That's true. But how many points has he scored? Like 4? Look at his practice times. He's 4.5 for me. He's slowly gaining on Max, but can't put it together in qualifying. That's what I mean. I feel like Yuki's pace is potentially there, but yeah. What's his best rating since being at Red Bull? 6. Yeah, you got a 6 in Miami and a 6 in Bahrain. But yeah, I mean, but practice doesn't matter, right? If I had to rate Yuki's performance in a Red Bull car as a whole, it would be higher than this. Well, like a higher rating than this. But like practice doesn't matter. And I don't care how fast you are. If you can't string it together in quality and you can't string it together in the race, it doesn't matter. What's up, J Racing? Being in multiple fandoms is hard because I love F1, but it's not my user. Wait, what do you mean, Pebble? Oh, it's like not in your username, is that what you mean? That extra 10th is what put him into the wall when pushing. Exactly. Inconsistent, yeah. Pebble, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. All right, moving on from Yuki. Majority of you guys saying a 3 out of 10. Yeah, I can agree with that. I think, again, maybe if you took practice into account, 4 out of 10. But practice doesn't matter at the end of the day, and how well you do in the car. Like if I was rating like him as a driver in the Red Bull, I'd give him a 4 out of 10. Season wise, yeah, definitely 3 out of 10. All right, now we get past what I believe. Okay, I feel like there's tiers here, right? I feel like there's tiers. So we've gotten past what I believe is like the underperformers. Like I generally don't think, and maybe you disagree with me, but I don't think anyone from here on out has underperformed this season. Like Duan and Colapinto have no good results. Yuki thankfully had the good result in Australia and China before he left VCARB, but he's been underperforming. Everyone from here on out, this next tier of drivers, I would class as like inconsistent. Like they've had like a portion of the season where they've been really slow, but then they've had a portion of the season they've been really good. Or they've had a lot of bad races, but they've also had a lot of good races where they've gotten a good haul of points for their drivers. And I don't think I can sit here and be like, they've had a bad season. They've just had a inconsistent season. Anyways, who do you guys think I've got in next? Now, there's 2 drivers. The next 2 drivers, I could not decide. I could not split them. You'll see why when I explain in a second. But I could not decide who to put above who because they literally came out to the exact same average rating. After 14 races, they came out to the exact same rating. So yeah. All right, who are you guys saying? Stroll. Ollie or Stroll? Ollie. Behrman, Ollie, Hamilton, Sainz, Ollie, Sainz, Ollie, Lewis and Sainz, Sainz, Stroll and Sainz. No one said it yet. No one said it. What? That's crazy. Lewis, Carlos, Stroll. Liam, there you go. Finally, someone guessed it. I have got, as much as it pains me to say, I have got Liam in 18th. Get your votes in on the poll. I really struggled with this one. I'm not going to lie. I think if you take recency bias into account, Liam has had a phenomenal last couple of races. But for me to put him ahead of the drivers that you guys mentioned, I don't think is fair given the start of the seasons they had. I think the start of the season, it's hard to say. I think the start of the season, how do I word this? The start of the season, there was a lot of, I don't know, spread between the field. And I think drivers like Ollie and Stroll took the advantage of getting the points when they could. Now they've kind of fallen off performance-wise. Whereas a driver like Liam, I think, has really struggled at the start of the season, has found his feet, and is now delivering consistently. If I was to say potential going into the second half of the season, current form, yeah, Liam is ranked above those drivers that you said. But I think as a season as a whole, average rating, Liam's gone on a 4.88, and you've got to take into account his Red Bull stint. So look at Liam's performances. So he started off the season with a 1 in Australia. I gave him a 1 in Australia and a 2 in China. I'm not gonna lie, I was watching my ratings back and I was like, why did I give Liam a 1? Like, he literally kept it on track at the Red Bull for so long. But then I forget, like, he literally went out in Q1, made multiple mistakes in qualifying, and then was stuck behind Haas's on a wet track. You know what I mean? I feel like this is a prime example of why looking at your average rating for what you did at the time is so much better than just like looking at the driver standings now, because you know what I mean? Like, I would rate Liam's Australia very different to what I rated at the time. But at the time, he was on a wet setup, stuck behind 2 fucking Haas's. You know what I mean? Anyways, look at Liam's season. He had a 1, he had a 2, he had a 3, he had a 3. Even at VCARB, he had a 3 in Japan, a 3 in Bahrain, those opening races. He had a 6, then he had a 2, then he had a 3. Honestly, the first 7 races of the season up to Imola were really bad. Then it picked up. He got an 8 rating in Monaco. He had a 5.5 in Spain, 3 in Canada. Then he had a 10 in Austria, the perfect weekend. Best the rest, absolutely smashing it. And then he had an 8.5 in Belgium and an 8.5 in Hungary. Britain, he got taken out in the first lap by Ocon, which was unfortunate. So I gave him an inconclusive there. But yeah, I think I'm being honest, like, you know, I'm a huge Liam fan, but I think if you think Liam should be rated higher than the drivers you mentioned in chat, specifically Ollie Behrman, I think you're just taking recency bias way into account. Like, yes, Liam just got a 10. Yes, he just got 2 8.5s. But other than that, he's been very weak this season. He's been nowhere near, obviously he was nowhere near Max when he was at Red Bull. And then going into VCARB, like, Hadj is a rookie. Yes, Liam's also a rookie as well, but Liam also has more time in an F1 car than Hadj does. And Hadj was out-qualifying Liam by 2/10. In saying that, I do think Liam got very unlucky in qualifyings. I was defending Liam a lot during qualifyings, but the problem was he never really made up the positions in the race. If he was generally quick, like he said he was, he would have been making up those positions in the race. Honestly, after I finished doing my ratings and did all the graphics and stuff, I was like, fuck, I do wish I swapped this driver, Liam, with the driver I put ahead. But again, they ended up getting the exact same average rating. It was really hard to decide, and I think it's surprising because I think Liam isn't the most loved driver on the grid, but I think I don't know. I think some drivers... Oh, we'll talk about it when we get to them. We'll talk about it. Momentum and form I value. I'm taking Liam over Stroll all day. But I would take Liam over Stroll as a driver all day as well. But we're not ranking who I want in the car. We're ranking who has had a better season. Anyways, what do you guys have to say about Liam? Sainz is below Liam for sure. I disagree. He swapped cars mid-season. How is chat loving Liam all of a sudden? 4, his crashing is unreliable. Liam's crashing is unreliable. When's Liam had a crash? I don't think Liam's had 1 crash. It was in Australia. He was on medium tires in the wet. I think that's one of the things that Liam should be praised for, is the fact that he is a rookie who's had to adapt to 2 different cars and he's only had 1 crash. Yeah. If you're yeah, I guess you're talking about racing crashes. Yeah. Like little racing incidents, like in Spain and whatever. Is this start of the season ranking? This is mid-season rankings. Yes, we're halfway through the season. We're ranking how the drivers have done so far this season. Me and my mum bet on how long he would be at Red Bull. Who won? He wasn't given the time to adjust to the Red Bull car, but the car didn't suit him anyway. The swap was good for him more than Yuki. Oh, 100%. I think he deserves higher because the Red Bull demotion obviously hinders your confidence. Yeah, true. But I think he started to get his confidence back. I was talking to T-Mac about this on stream. Before I went live, I was in T-Mac's chat. T-Mac's a friend of mine. T-Mac and a few viewers were in chat, and I was just kind of gauging their opinions about the rankings. We're all kind of on the same page. And our thoughts on Liam is, if Liam continues this form for the rest of the season, he could end up being a top 10 driver on the grid. And I know that's crazy, but that just goes to show how tight the midfield is. Like, again, everyone from here on out hasn't had a bad season. Everyone from Liam up to maybe like P12, P9 could swap completely depending on how the rest of their seasons go. And I think Liam's in a great spot right now, whereas if he continues this form for the rest of the season, he could generally jump the likes of the drivers who we're going to talk about soon. Because he is showing really, really good form. Sup, Ruby? How's it going, dude? If he keeps it up, he'll end up above them at the end of the season, but not now. Exactly, second sense. Exactly, completely agree. I may be your biggest enemy. I currently have a perfect 100% prediction rate for Liam crashes, and we do 3 predictions before media day. Wait, what? You have 3 predictions. Wait, what do you mean you got 100% rate for Liam crashes? Liam is used to grinding points when things go against him. True. Liam crashed on Silverstone. Yeah, that was Ocon's fault though. Hey Ponden, don't you think last year the McLaren wasn't the fastest from Miami? Miami Max had the better car. Lando only won because of the safety car. Max's damage but then his tires were on Canada. Wait, were you asking me something? I don't get the question. Sorry. If Liam keeps this form for the rest of the season, he might end up with the Max again for next season. Not gonna lie, you reckon? No, I think Hadja would get the call up regardless. Weakness, Iggy Biggie and Krikinen. Thank you guys for the follows. Welcome to the stream. One second, let me cue some better music than this. What the fuck is happening right now? Why was Kanye West playing the fuck? All right. We're going to end the poll there. Majority of you guys given Liam a 5 out of 10. I agree. I think 5 out of 10, maybe 5.5 out of 10 is a great rating for Liam. I think it's like he's had an average season because the start of the season was below average and the second half of, when I say season, I mean their season so far, by the way. The first half of his season so far was below average. The second half of his season so far has been very much above average. So I think that like kind of evens out to like a 5.5. So yeah, I agree with that. All right, moving on to our next driver. Who do you guys think tied with Liam in average rating for the season so far? Who do you think I've got in P17? Liam was a menace in Miami, took out Alonso. I forgot about in the sprint. Yeah, true. But did he crash? Nope. What's up, Green Day fan? Mom of the stream. Signs, Stroll, Hamilton, Stroll, Hamilton. Well, some of you got it right. In P17, tied with Liam on average rating, I have got, oh, there you go. I keep forgetting that screen's here. Tied on equal rating is Lance Stroll. Again, I was really tossing up who to put higher. I think if I could swap it now after talking to you guys and having some more time to think since I did the rankings last night, I think I would put Liam above Stroll. But I've got Stroll on 17th. Now, the reason why I put Stroll above Liam initially was because he's in the championship. He's 12th. He's only 1 position behind Alonso. And like, we're going to talk a lot about Alonso soon, but Alonso's having a good season. And for him to only be a couple points behind Alonso is really good. I think Stroll is a prime example of a driver who's had some great standout performances. If we look at his ratings so far that I've given him this season, Stroll got an 8.5 in Australia, 7.5 in China. He got a 7 in Britain and an 8 in Hungary, right? So he's had some really good results, not to mention multiple six ratings, meaning where he's just kind of put the car where it should be. The problem is he's also had some very poor ratings, multiple 2s, multiple 3s. And just overall, he's been absolutely wiped by Alonso in qualifying pace. But the thing is, when Alonso was struggling at the start of the season, Stroll was there to take the points. And that's why he's put Aston Martin where they are in the constructors at the moment. And I think, personally, I'm a Liam fan. Again, I would swap them now if I could. But I'm a Liam fan. And I think if you put Stroll below Liam, I do think it's just because you don't like Stroll, personally. I don't know. I think Stroll's had a better season than what people are making it out to be. Like, again, performance-wise, 100%. He's inconsistent. He's under-delivering in comparison to Alonso. But he brought the points home. And sometimes I would prefer, I always say this, I prefer a driver that has a phenomenal race every 4 races, brings home the points, puts their car where it shouldn't be. In a car like an Aston, right? Like in a car like an Aston where it's not consistent in the top 10, I'd rather you have outstanding performances and get those points than to consistently be on the edge of points like, say, like Ollie Behrman, who's just always on the edge. And saying that, obviously, I put Ollie above Stroll because consistency is very important. But yeah, I think people are being a bit too harsh on Stroll's season so far, if I'm being honest. But still, I mean, 17th, I can't rate him high, rank him higher than that personally. Yeah. Who's 18th to 21st? There's another screen in the second grid which shows the order. 7 this season. Oh yeah, what do you guys rate him out of 10? Get your votes in on the poll. Stroll's doing better this year. Half his points were lucky. I mean, was Stroll lucky or were other drivers doing bad? I mean, you could argue that's luck, but yeah. I mean, Stroll hasn't crashed yet. Has Stroll crashed? True. Has he? I'm trying to think. Maybe he hasn't, yeah. He has one of his best seasons so far, I reckon. He has out-qualified Alonso in like 25. He hasn't out-qualified Alonso in like 25 races. He's been all right this season, surprisingly. Stroll's kind of been cooking this year, not going to lie, but who else did the fans clown on? Yeah, exactly. Ponden, Alonso's out-qualified every weekend since last year's Hungarian Grand Prix. No, 100%. Again, performance-wise, Stroll's getting wiped. But season ranking-wise, he's brought home points for the team, and he's doing good. He's doing what he needs to for the team, which is just bring enough points home that they stay where they are in the constructors. Alonso had an unlucky streak in the start of the season. Stroll was surprisingly close and had some good performances, but he's still getting wiped. I mean, look, even in Belgium, right? Even in Belgium, I gave Stroll an 8 out of 10, and Alonso got a 10 out of 10. But do you remember what happened in qualifying? They literally qualified like 20 milliseconds apart in sorry, not in Belgium, in Hungary. They qualified like 20 milliseconds apart. To be fair, in the race, Stroll did lose a couple of positions. Alonso held on, but he still brought home points. You know what I mean? Part of me wonders if Stroll has been made to look better by the fact that Alonso had a poor season. Yeah, maybe. Lance did well. Now he would take the second half of the season off. Alonso would have scored points in Monaco and China at least. Silverstone is arguably the only exception. Ponden, every race he brought home points. Alonso was ahead before a problem happened. Yeah, true. But again, I've ranked Alonso kind of highly and ignored the issues that he had because I do like to rate based off of their performances. I should have said that at the start of the stream, by the way. I think the way everyone does ratings is very different. I think some people, I haven't watched like Matt and Tommy or Tomo's driver rankings yet, but in the past when I've watched those guys, they kind of do like a season ranking, like how do I word this? Like, oh, this rookie was expected to be here and they're doing here, so I'm going to give them a high ranking. Or like Max Verstappen is a 4-time champ and he's not delivering, so I'm going to rank him down here. You know what I mean? That's not really how I do rankings personally. I base it solely off performance. So, you know, I'm not going to be like, wow, Stroll's doing better than before, higher rating. I just think he's having a okay season. Yeah. Amex, thank you for the follow. One the stream. I want to know, why is Ollie above Stroll? Why is Ollie above Stroll? Really? Alonso was super unlucky in Monaco, though. Paul Aaron gets a 10 season rating just for being better than the Alpine drivers. What the hell? All right. Majority of you guys saying a 5 for Stroll. I can agree with that. Average season at best. I mean, look, isn't that a good sign for how good the season's been so far? So far, we've only 3 drivers. And let's be real, there's no driver going to get below a 5 now. Every single driver, other than 3 or 2, if you two seats, have been rated 5 or above, which I think goes to show how good the season's been so far in terms of the level of competition, and a pretty like even playing field. Anyways, this is how the rankings are looking so far. All right, who do you think I have got in P16? I'm going to quickly turn my aircon on, but let me know in chat who you think I've got in 16th. Pasta Maldonado, you good, bro? Are you good, bro? Are you good? Fangio. Alright, these guys are trolling. Stroll shouldn't be anywhere near F1. Alright. Moving on to P16. A driver that I did not think would be anywhere near this position. I'm fairly sure in my preseason predictions, rated him as best of the rest. Now he's almost best of the worst. No, worst of the mid. I don't even know what you want to call it. Carlos Sainz, man. Carlos Sainz. I mean, I think expectation-wise, this man has been having a pretty underwhelming season. Look, I've still got him above Stroll and Liam. I do think he's been pretty... I think he's been consistently mid. Stroll's had some great moments. Liam's had some great moments, but they've also had some fucking terrible moments. I feel like Sainz has been pretty mid-ground, if I'm being honest. Average rating of the season so far, 5.42. 16th in the championship, quite far down on his teammate. But yeah, looking at Sainz's ratings so far, he started off the season really badly with a 2, a 3.5, and a 3.5. Then Bahrain, he got a 7. Saudi Arabia, 9.5. 8 at Imola. And again, then he got a 5 and a 3. Then he got a 7. And then he's had 6 5s and 5s. So I think current form, again, he's just in that kind of mid-ground. But again, I think he's been more consistently like... Oh, a 6. Oh, a 4. Oh, a 5. Oh, an 8. Oh, a 3. Like he's, I don't know, he's kind of stayed kind of like, I don't know, like he's stayed a bit more consistent than the other two. But maybe not as many highs as Liam and Stroll. I mean, obviously, Sainz in Saudi Arabia, 9.5 is amazing. But yeah, if you look at Liam's had an 8.5, an 8.5, and a 10, but everything else is shocking. Stroll had an 8.5, 7.5, and an 8, and a 7. But everything else is kind of, yeah. So, yeah. Anyways, I think Stroll. I don't know what Sainz's problem is. Like, is it the fact that Albon is doing so well that he's outclassing Sainz and making Sainz look worse than what he is, or is Sainz generally just struggling to adapt to a midfield car? At the moment. Sainz kind of recovered and getting closer, but hasn't had the best of the rest races yet, with the Williams also getting slow in recent races. Yeah, true. Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good way to put it. Like, Sainz is currently starting to maybe like found a little bit more form, but he's still behind Albon, and he's still not finding those best of the rest results. Lloyd Glazer, one on the stream, dude. Sainz been such a letdown. We all expected him to beat Albon, and Albon has 85% of the points. Yeah. He's been a ghost this season. Imagine how well Sainz would have gone in the second RB21 seat. Well, you're saying he would have done worse? Would have done good. Brain on Mila. Thank you for the follow. He's had some very poor qualifying this year. Yeah, Sainz has never destroyed the car. Spun in quality. Well, he did crash in Australia. But yeah, honestly expected more from him. But maybe that was more my unreasonable expectation. Clearly quite the change for him going to Williams. Yeah, Sainz has kind of recovered. I read that. Yeah, and Sainz struggling to get the feel of the Williams inverse of Lewis in Ferrari / Sainz from. I know Carlos is just mid. He adapted very well to the Ferrari in 2021 though. Williams was the best in midfield in the start of the season. Albon took advantage of that while Sainz was still adapting. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the best way to put it. I think sometimes drivers just miss their chance. Which I think is an interesting one for Liam. I feel like Liam missed that big surge that VCARB had at the start of the season. But now the VCARB isn't as strong and he's actually getting the results. Whereas Sainz kind of missed that surge that Williams had at the start of the season. But now he's not able to get the results from the car. Well, L1 still is. Yeah. I wish I ranked Liam higher now. I think I was too scared to get called bias and shit. I really thought that Carlos would have proved to everybody that Ferrari shouldn't have dropped him, but the struggles to perform at the same level as Alex, yeah. He's been unlucky, to be fair. I think the unlucky / lucky conversation is going to come up a lot in today's stream. I think we got to remember so many drivers are unlucky. Like, Liam's had so many unluckiness in qualifying. Sainz has had unluckiness with the car. Who else has had unluckiness? Ollie Behrman's had so much unluckiness. Fernando Alonso's had unluckiness. Kimi Antonelli's had unluckiness. Like, almost every driver in the grid has been pretty unlucky this season. Yeah. Side note, but I really hope Williams does good next year. Sup, Sammy Dolan? Any tips on streaming? Just stream, man. Just stream. Just start doing it. Do what you enjoy, and the viewers will hopefully come. I'm not saying he's not been mid, because he has been. I'm just pointing it out. Alonso's luck has come back to him recently, thank God, yeah. Sainz at the tail end of his career, you reckon? Interesting. Sainz is slowly going through his post-Red Bull Racing Ricciardo arc. Maybe this is a downward trend for Sainz now. I hope not, because he was on it at Ferrari. All right, majority of you guys saying 5 out of 10. I do agree with you. Fuck, I forgot to record. Ah! Yeah, I do agree with you guys on a 5 out of 10 for science. All right. Moving on to the top 15 now. I think this is going to be the most controversial one of the entire list. Who do you guys think I've got in P15? Oh no, I don't think anyone's going to guess. For people who've watched my driver ratings, you'll probably know who's coming next. Lewis, Ollie, Hamilton, Alonso, Ocon, Alonso, Lando, Kimi, Norris, Gasly, Behrman, Hamilton, Ocon, Antonelli, Gabby, Antonelli, Kimi. Okay, some of you guys got it in the end. In P15, I've got Kimi Antonelli. Poll is up. What do you rate Kimi Antonelli's season out of 10? This is definitely my harshest rating of the lot. This is the only driver I took the driver rating of and went, you know what? I think I was being too kind with him at the start of the season being a rookie. Because looking at his season so far, it has been very disappointing. Now, don't get me wrong. As a rookie in a Mercedes, I think Kimi is having a good season. I think the talk about him being rushed to Mercedes and all that shit, I think that's a load of bollocks. I 100% agree with putting Kimi in that car, and I 100% am happy. I wouldn't say happy, but I'm happy with the progress he's shown. Maybe progress isn't the right word. I'm happy with what he's shown for the future for Mercedes. My problem with Kimi is, if you strip his name, his face, his fans, and like him away, and you look at a driver in Mercedes right now, he's nowhere near Russell. I think they've got he's got the second worst qualifying spread to his teammate, other than the Red Bull, which is obvious. He's consistently finishing way below Russell in both races and qualifyings. And he's making a lot of mistakes now. And I think at the start of the season, he would finish 2 positions behind Russell, and we'd be like, well done, 18-year-old. He's only finished 2 positions behind Russell. But if those results happen now, we'd be kind of like, all right, that's good, but like, come on, let's get closer to Russell now. You know what I mean? And that's why I think I've adjusted Kimi's rankings so much, is because I do think we took Kimi's opening races way better than what they were. And if you just look at them at face value, like, he's still finishing multiple positions behind Russell. He's still finishing multiple tenths behind Russell in qualifying. Don't get me wrong, Kimi has been very unlucky. I completely get that. Like, there was that run of races, wherever it was where he had retirements. But like, take Monaco, for instance, right? There's nothing unlucky about that. He crashed in qualifying and then got stuck. There's nothing unlucky about getting stuck in a train at Monaco. You should have fucking qualified better. But obviously his teammate also did bad, so it didn't look as bad. But yeah. Look at Kimi's ratings. Again, he's had a 4.96 so far this season. So a lot of the drivers who are ranked above him in a second, which you'll see, he's actually got a higher rating than of. But I do think that is a little bit of rookie bias coming into play looking back. Anyways, Kimi started off the season with an 8.5 in Australia, and then it went all the way back down to a 4.5 in China. Then he got a 7 in Japan, and then he kind of got a 6 and a 6, Bahrain, Saudi. You know, he's doing pretty, you know, above average. Miami, obviously an amazing sprint weekend, but in the qualifying, the race was kind of And that's when it fell off. That is when it fell off. Imola was shocking. Monaco was shocking. Spain was average. Good result in Canada. Shocking in Austria. Shocking in Britain. Shocking in Spa. And below average in Hungary. He's very up and down. Obviously, I've got him ranked above Stroll and Liam because Stroll and Liam had shocking results, but they also only had a small handful of great results, whereas Kimi's had some really decent results, but I do think it's more played up because he is a rookie. I think if you compare him to Russell, and obviously we're going to glaze Russell later on in the rankings, Russell has been phenomenal, and I do understand he's up against a hard teammate. But I do think the only reason Mercedes is down, like, look at how bad, look at how, in my opinion, oh, I can't say that without spoiling it. I'll just say the second half of this comment. Look at how bad Lewis is doing this season, right? Mercedes should be finishing ahead Ferrari in the constructors, but they're not, as because of Kimi. Why do you think it still isn't clicking for him? I don't know if it's not clicking. I think he lost a lot of confidence in those 3 rounds, and he started to spiral a bit. I think what we saw with Liam as an example, coming from Red Bull, all this pressure, you know, sadness, just everything, it's going to take you a little bit to find your groove. And Formula 1 is all about confidence. And I think Kimi kind of had a few bad races, and now he's trying to figure out what's wrong. And he thought it was the suspension. We came into Spa. Oh, guys, it's my suspension. I'm going to have a new suspension on this race. And he's done bad. He's still done bad. So, you know, like, I do think it's just confidence. Because it's shown. He's changed the setup back to how it was at the start of the season. It's still not great. But again, these are driver performance rankings at the end of the day, right? I think if I had to rank Antonelli's season so far as a 18-year-old rookie in a top team, I'd probably give him a 6 out of 10. Maybe a 6.5. But as, like, solely performance in a Mercedes and a top team up against that underperforming Lewis Hamilton, it's honestly like a 5 out of 10, if I'm being honest. I just watched your video earlier of you buying F1 cards. Well, welcome to the stream, bro. Are you gonna get some of those cards? All right, what are you guys saying in chat about Kimi? To be honest, I've avoided reading chat, but I saw some nah, and then I saw a few people agree. So, 10K fine for Ponden for swearing. Yeah, it's and 100% damn way I got it right. Not controversial, to be fair. Lately, bro has been poo. Had some great results, but also some absolute stinkers. Yeah, you know how, like, recency bias is a thing? Well, yeah. Most people take recency bias in a good way. Maybe I've taken recency bias in a bad way of Antonelli. Maybe I've not considered how good his performances were at the start of the season. But you got to remember, he's close to being overtaken by Albon in a Williams in the championship. Lewis Hamilton is having a shocking season. In my opinion, is it a worse car? I don't know. It depends on the race, really. But, yeah. I don't know. It's crazy to think that about 5 races ago, Kimi was... He's second rookie of the year. No one is close to Hadjar Kimi. And Kimi's now dropped... In those 5 races, Kimi has now dropped behind Bortoletto, behind Behrman. Yeah. Crazy. Those last 5 races have been so bad. At this point, he's not going to beat Lewis's rookie points record. He was decent at the start, but outside of Canada, he's been nowhere, even without technical issues. He was so lucky to get that podium, man. That gap was big. In 1984 review, when we were talking about Senna being either in the podium or DNF, I thought of Kimi having a similar season. But some of the DNFs were Kimi's fault, though, in a way. Excuse me, sir. You asking us to strip an 18-year-old? Okay. He's a very good driver, but it isn't clicking for him. Spain would have scored points, to be fair, if it wasn't for the engine failure. He's had a car issues, but... Well, wait, coming back to the one about the engine issue. That's why I like my driver rating system, is because I rank performances. You know what I mean? If I went... Kimi had a bad result this weekend because his engine blew up. 2 out of 10. Then my ratings wouldn't reflect anything but that weekend. So I really like that I do, like, driver performance ratings, because then I can look and be like, well, yeah, Kimi had an engine failure in Spain, but he still didn't have a good weekend. I still only gave him a 5 out of 10 in Spain. Every time we rate the rookies, we should also consider the fact that Racing Bulls will hardly ever finish ahead of Merc based on pure speed. And I don't think he did better than Liam. I would say they're on the same level in terms of understanding the car and the amount of mistakes. Bro fell off from F2 and F3, you reckon? Max at 18 years was battling veterans and phenomenal. Him being 80 years old is not an excuse. Yeah. I love Kimi, but I think this is fair. Kimi, Hadjar, Ollie on downward form. Lawson, Bortoletto on upward momentum and form. Yeah. For sure. For sure. Brain on Mila. I think I take that already. If not, thank you for the follow. I just joined and woke up, so my bad if I misread. Wait, what did you think I said? I get it. I'm not disagreeing, but I just think Oscar has been doing better than Russell this season. Wait, what? I think George is performing more than the car should, as opposed to Lando and Oscar. We haven't gotten to the big boys yet. We're still on Antonelli, guys. We're still on Antonelli. All right, majority of you guys saying 6 out of 10 for Antonelli. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. All right, next up. Next up, who do you guys think I've gotten 14th? I'm trying to think. Are we into the next tier yet? No, I still think we're in the same tier. Stroll, Signs, Lawson, Stroll, Signs, Antonelli. And the next couple is still in the same tier of like, they're being inconsistent. Bad results, average results, amazing results. They're kind of all in this kind of same tier. Anyways, who do you think I've gotten 14th? Megan, Finn, thank you guys for the follows. Welcome to the stream. Actually, who do I have next? It's actually crazy. I've seen people saying Lewis's name since we got to fucking Stroll. Okay. Hamilton, Behrman, Lewis, Ollie or Lewis, Ollie Behrman, Lewis, Hamilton, Hulk, Bortoletto, Gabby, Albon, Gabby, Albon! Ocon, Hamilton. It's got to be Gabby, Hamilton, Gabby. All right, next up. In 14th, I have got Ollie Behrman. So, remember how I was saying Kimi had a good driver rating and I lowered him down? Behrman is also the same. Behrman actually ended up being, if I'm not mistaken, let me look at my driver ratings real quick. Where is he? Behrman. Yeah, so Behrman actually ended up getting a 5.92, which put him above, as an example, Behrman's rating this season, on average, is higher than Pierre Gasly. And I was looking at it, and I was like, It's hard to rank Ollie because he's had a couple good moments, a couple bad moments, but overall he's been very consistent. And I really struggled to rank him. I saw some of you guys saying Behrman should have been down here, but to me, I think Behrman's had a better, more consistent season than Sainz, Stroll, and Lawson. And I think he's been more consistent than Antonelli. And I'm being honest, I feel like if you took Behrman's season and put that in a Merc, I'm not saying he'd do better than Antonelli, but I think he'd be more... If you took that exact same season, I think he's been more consistent than Antonelli, and that's why I put him higher than Antonelli. But the reason I've not put him higher than a couple other drivers is solely because his teammate. You know, his teammate has been delivering the results. Behrman's 19th in the championship. I'm fairly sure Ocon is 12th? Let me have a look real quick. Ocon's 10th. Ocon is 10th in the championship, and Behrman's 19th. Now, don't get me wrong. Ocon's had some lucky results, but he's put himself in that position. What Ollie's done is he's been consistently P11 in a Haas, which is great. Again, consistency has put him here above the guys I mentioned before, but I still think he's just not had those, like, big results that I want to see from Ollie. To be honest, I've ranked Ollie higher than what some of you guys were predicting in chat. So I'm shocked, to be honest, because, yeah, if you look at Ollie's ratings so far this season, he's had an 8 in China, a 9 in Japan, a 7 in Bahrain, and then a lot of 5s and 6s. He got a 6. Okay, listen to this. He had a 7.5 in Hungary, 6 in Belgium, 6 in Britain, 6 in Austria, 6 in Canada, 5 in Spain, 6 in Monaco. So basically a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A 7 race run where his average points were 6 out of 10. And he's only had 2 races where I've rated him below a 5. So he's been consistent, but he's been consistently on the verge of like, well, you're not doing bad, but you're beating drivers who are under-delivering. But you've not been doing good because you're not getting in the points when your teammate's been getting some solid results. So I think it's a prime example of sometimes I would prefer a driver to take a risk and get those points occasionally than to be hard stuck P11 every single race. But at the same time, I respect a P11 every single race. What are you guys saying in chat? Behrman is just unlucky. P11 4 times in a row. Is that unlucky or is that him just not being able to get the full potential? It's hard to say where Haas should be in general. That too. That too. Ollie has been good in quali though. His race performance is shit with too many rookie mistakes. I think he's the rookie that has went under the radar for the most of the season due to the fact the car is still shit. I wouldn't say the car is shit though. I think the car is... I think Haas might have one of the most inconsistent cars on the grid. And them and Aston for sure. Maybe Alpine as well. I think his P11 streak is a lack of luck. Very hard to rank. Kimi 15th is shocking. He would do better than Kimi in that Merc. I agree. And that's why I put him above Kimi. I think you got to remember, at the end of the day, when I rank drivers, the way I see it is if you took these 21 drivers and put them in a McLaren, ignoring driver preference, like comfortability preference in a car, where would you rank everyone? And I think Kimi has shown that he's been quite inconsistent and let them, like, the struggles of having some poor results get to him mentally, whereas Behrman's been on it consistently. Yeah. We've detected inactivity on your live. I'm fucking talking. TikTok. Chill out. Where's that up to in chat? I would do better than Kimi in the Merc. I don't think there has been a single race where Haas has been clearly the best of the rest. Yeah, true. 6-7 mentioned. The Haas is... What does the 6-7 mean, by the way, bro? What does the 6-7 mean?
Haas to love to mess up there, didn't get out for a last run, same in Miami, then in the sprint an unsafe release cost 3 points, then in Imola. True. In the points Haas then not putting the wheel on, leading to him pitting again. Monaco and Silverstone are stupid rookie mistakes too.
I don't know why Brian spoke so dumb there, but Oscar, thank you so much. Oscar, thank you so much for this 6-month resub with Prime, dude. Really do appreciate you coming in and subbing for half a year, man. Thank you. I don't know why Brian read that out so badly. So depressing as an Ollie fan. We'd say that is just where the Haas is, if not for Ocon's result, or is Ocon overperforming, getting lucky? Yeah, exactly. Haas has poor qualifying pace but have good tire wear. You didn't get banned on TikTok? No. I got banned on TikTok, but the ban lifted. Alright, I don't really have much more to say about Ollie, so I think we'll move on now. Majority of you guys saying a 6 out of 10. I agree. I think he's had an above average season, but he's not had like a Hulkenberg or a Bortoletto or a Liam or a Stroll, even like a result that's like, wow, twin, you got motion, twin. I mean, actually, Ollie in Japan was good. You got that 9 out of 10. But other than that, he's not had one of those standout seasons. All right, this is how it's looking so far. What do we think, guys? What do we think so far? If you just tuned in the stream, by the way, on TikTok or YouTube, come join us on Twitch. That is where you can type in Twitch chat to vote on the poll for what you rate the drivers. So come join us. Twitch.tv/Ponden. There you go. Just gotta keep saying Hamilton until we get it. Is he number 2 in the penalty points rankings behind Max and ahead of Liam? I think so, yeah. Alright, who do you guys think I've got in P13? It's coming. He's going to get a top 6. Next is Gasly. If you put Gasly ahead of Ocon, I'm unsubbing. Okay. You ain't even sub, bro. Lewis. Next is Gasly. Ocon. I think Haas have switched a little faster in quality, but have lost a bit of pace. Banana Dream. What does that do on the stream? Gasly, Hamilton. Come on. Hamilton surely now. Hamilton, Lewis. Hamilton, Gasly. Lewis already. Are you guys mad? Bortoletto. No way, Gasly. Damn. It seems like there's a real... The biggest discrepancy I've seen in chat is Lewis, Ollie, Bortoletto, and now Gasly. I like I said... I easily ranked these guys. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The last 7 drivers, easily ranked. The top 7 drivers, I easily ranked. It was from Antonelli through to P6. That was a real struggle. Because, like, you could argue... You know, you could argue, like, oh, Behrman's had a better season than Lewis, and then Lewis has had a worse season than Antonelli. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, yeah. Anyways, next up in P14, I have got... Before I show him, I just want to say, this man has had some great results recently, but we got to look at the whole season so far. I think by the end of this year, this man could move in. Maybe could move in, or easily could move into the top 10. But right now, I mean, it makes sense. He's a rookie. I got Gabby Bortoletto in P13. Nothing against Gabby. I think Gabby's been doing really, really well. But you've got to keep in mind how his season's been so far. It has been similar. I think the best way to put it, it's been similar to Bearman. It's been very, very like consistent the whole season. But his highs have been way higher than Ollie. So, yeah. Average rating of 5.32. Again, Bortoletto's average rating this season was much lower than Bearman's. But I decided to put Bortoletto higher than Bearman. Prior to last week, remember what I said prior to last week's race? I said, if Bortoletto has another great result like he did in Belgium, I'll probably move him up above Bearman in my rookie of the year rankings. And he did exactly that. He got a 10 out of 10 in Hungary. So I stuck to my word and he is above Bearman. But yeah, Bortoletto started off really slow at the start of the season. I gave him a 4, 4.5, 3.5, 3.5, 2.5, 4.5, and a 4. So the first 7 rounds of the season, Bortoletto didn't crack above a 5 rating. But then he went sicko mode. He had 6 in Monaco, 7 in Spain, 9.5 in Austria, 9.5 in Belgium, and a 10 in Hungary. When you compare Bortoletto to Liam and Lance, for example, very similar in the sense of like a lot of lows to start of the season, but then some highs. But the difference with Bortoletto is he's putting a Sauber into the points, whereas Stroll is matching and still finishing behind his teammate, and Liam is matching his teammate. Whereas Bortoletto has been outclassing Hulkenberg, and that's why personally I've ranked him much higher than those guys, because I think Hulkenberg's a great driver and he's been consistently outqualifying Hulkenberg as of late. But yeah, you can't ignore the start of Bortoletto's season. Getting below a 5 rating in the first 7 rounds of the season is pretty poor. But yeah, again, I think there's an argument he should be higher. I think there's an argument he should be lower. I've just put him right here, just above Bearman, because I do think he's just a little bit better than Bearman at the moment. This season. Banana Dream and Sweat, thank you guys for the follows. Welcome to the stream. What's up, Tommy? Welcome to the stream. Over Mr. No Podium, but 7 more Drivers Championships. 6, showing good progression, seems to just be getting better. But he's been nowhere when Nico was having P6, P7. I may have added a point simply because he seems like a nice guy. P8 Austria, P9 Spa, P6 Hungary. Yeah, he's had a great run of form recently. I think the recency bias is going to play too much into Gabby, and people are going to be like, he should be higher. But it's like, bro, the start of the season was wank. It wasn't wank. Like, it wasn't like Duin or Liam status, but it was just like underwhelming, I guess. I think Gabby's progress is what it should look like. Started to understand the car, and before mid-season showed results. Exactly. Hulk is fast in quality, and Gabby has been faster. I think the best way to describe Gabby is when he's had the car, he's delivered. But when the car wasn't there, he was nowhere. And I think sometimes you need to show that it's not just the car that's putting you down. I'm not saying Gabby is only doing well because the car's good now. But my point is like Hulkenberg was getting some decent results in a car that was nowhere near on the pace. Gabby's been matching Hulk all season. Quali is Hulk has much better pace now, but the Sauber car is better. He's showing he can bring results too. Gabby's been in Q3 3 times for Hulk none, yeah. But that is only the last few races though, keep in mind. So ease up the build-up. I feel like once Gabby had the car, he would show crazy pace. Well, I mean, he's kind of, well, I wouldn't say he's got the car now, but he's doing well. Alright, I don't think there's much more to say about Gabby. It's easy to forget Bortoletto was hired with just 1 TPC in his name. Yeah, true. McLaren gave him no time in that car. Alright, majority of you guys saying 6 out of 10 for Gabby so far this season. A lot of votes for 7 though. Okay, interesting. Alright, this is how the rankings look so far. We're not even to the top 10 yet. Oh, my nose, bro. My nose keeps running. All right, we're on ads. We'll wait a sec for the ads to chill out. 005 Don. Pierre 10 Goat Sleep. I'm the string, guys. Thank you for the follow. Oh, actually, that's something I didn't mention about Bortoletto. Good point, Jamie. Bortoletto's had a fair few crashes when you think about it. He had the crash in Australia. He had the crash in Silverstone. He had the crash in, was it China? Or was that Duan's fault? No, I think that was Bortoletto's fault. He's had another crash somewhere else as well. But yeah. I'd rate Gabby highly without recent results too. You reckon? Well, that's the thing. When I was looking at Tomo's viewer rankings, when they made the rounds on Twitter, Bortoletto was ranked so high, and that was done before the last 2 races. So I can't imagine what fucking viewers would rank him now. I think people just, I don't know. I think people glaze rookies way too hard. High, I should say. And depends how much they like the driver too. What's up, Dex James? We're on the stream. Alright, are the ads done yet? I think the ads are done now. Alright, let's move on. Who do you think I have in P12? Yeah, so this next driver, it pains me to put him here, as some people might find that hard to believe. It pains me to put him here. But at the end of the day, he's under-delivering. And there's even an argument. There is even an argument this next driver should be rated below the 2 people I just spoke about. But I do think the only reason people are so harsh on this guy is because he is a 7-time champ at the end of the day. And his expectations are so high. I've got Lewis in P12. What do you rate Lewis' season so far out of 10? Look, I think for Lewis' standards, it's a 6 out of 10. 5 out of 10 even. But in the grand scheme of things, he's not done too bad. I mean, like, his average rating so far this season of 5.64. Again, lower than what I gave Ollie Behrman. But I have moved him up above Ollie just because I think what it is, there was so much hype coming into this season that people have forgotten, like, yes, he's been behind his teammate. Yes, Lewis has been outclassing him, but he's still getting the results, which Kimi isn't doing in the Merc at the moment. Yeah, Lewis started off the season with a 4 in Australia. Then he got a 7.5 in China. Amazing sprint weekend, but in qualifying the race. 4 in Japan, 6 in Bahrain, 4 in Saudi, 6 in Miami, 7 in Imola, 6.5 in Monaco, 5.5 in Spain, 6 in Canada, 8 in Austria, 7 in Silverstone, 5 in Belgium, and then he ended with a 2.5 in Hungary. But yeah, the start of the season he had a few ratings under 5, but overall he's mainly been like at that 6-7 mark for most of the season, with a few poor results bringing him down. Again, expectation wise, Lewis has been struggling, but he's in a Ferrari and he's only, he's only 40 points behind Leclerc in the championship. He's 40 points ahead of Kimi Antonelli, who's in a better car. In my opinion, if I'm being honest, I do think the Merc has been slightly better. No, I think the Merc has been better than the Ferrari this season, overall. I mean, there have been like trading, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough. I don't really have much more to say about Lewis. It's really hard because I do think Lewis could be ranked below Behrman and Bortoletto, but I also think there's an argument he could be ranked maybe slightly. No, I don't think he can be ranked higher than this. I think I've been maybe generous with Lewis, if I'm being honest. Switch you down. Leave it the volley. Bro, some of you guys were saying Lewis's name in chat since fucking Stroll. Are we good? Are we good? We're not ranking. We're not doing driver expectation rankings. We're doing driver season rankings. How is he a 4 out of 10? You guys are purely ranking his expectations right now. Have I been too kind with Lewis? According to Italian outlets, Lewis has been trying to change some car development ideals from Ferrari, like getting rid of a steering dead zone they introduced to make the car adaptable to driving styles. Interesting. Hamburger got a lock in. Was Colapinto a 1? Hopefully. Colapinto I did put in last place, yeah. Alright, what do you guys say in chat about Lewis? For now, there's 1 per team. It's Hamilton's time. Lewis, we love you. It's just taking too long to get used to the car. Very similar signs. Yeah. What's up, Esteban Ocon fan? Is that T-Max alt? 7-time champ. He's in a Ferrari. And sure, that car's exactly been performing, but he's nowhere near Charles. Consistently unable to match Leclerc. The hype train wanted to believe me that he's winning his 8th title. Stephen Beale, welcome to the stream. They were the follow. People and drivers need to understand it takes some time to get used to a new car. Yeah, but you're a 7-time champ. Like, you know what I mean? You've been in the sport for so long. You should be able to adapt quicker than Isaac Hadjar. You know what I mean? I think that Italian management doesn't suit Lewis. Hope he recovers, but chances are low in my opinion. He sold us with the aura photos. Yeah, for sure. Well, you're a Red Bull creator. You asked what your rank is. Wait, what? All aura farming preseason for this shit. You're right. It should be a 4 out of 10. It should be instead of 1 for his ass. He's getting knocked out in Q2 and the second, third fastest car in the grid. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I have been too kind to Lewis here. Maybe I have been too kind to Lewis. Maybe there is... Maybe if I redid my rankings right now, maybe I'd put... You know what I mean? Like, there's an argument Stroll and Lawson have done better than Sainz. You know what I mean? But then... I can't put Hamilton below Sainz. That's stupid. Maybe if I redid my rankings right now, I could put Hamilton below... I'd put Hamilton below Ponden and Behrman. Why is Stroll so far down when he has the same points as Alonso? Thank you, Fabio. I was getting roasted for putting Liam above Stroll. Below Stroll. But I'm like, guys, Stroll's got to be above Liam because he's matching Alonso in points right now. But I think the thing with Stroll is he's had like 3 really good races and then like absolute shit is the rest of the time. At least Lewis is 1 driver of the day this year. For now, there's 1 per team. The next one is Norris. Wait, we actually had 1 driver per team. Oh, shit. I think it goes to show how big the discrepancy between drivers is this season. Like, we've got... The Alpine boys are fucking struggling against Gasly. The second Red Bull seat is cursed. Liam obviously struggled a lot against Hadjar to begin with. Stroll is just Stroll. Sainz has not adapted to that Williams. Antonelli's not adapted to that Merc. Behrman, to be honest, he's not done bad. He's just not on the same level as Ocon right now. Bortoletto... I mean, to be fair, he's getting... I would say he's one of the closest driver pairings at the moment with Hulkenberg. They keep trading. The problem with Sauber is 1 driver will make Q3 and 1 goes out in Q1. How the fuck are you guys that separated between the 2? Like, lock in. Both of you make Q2 or both of you make Q3. Why are you so spread out? And then, yeah, Hamilton's just getting dicked on by Leclerc. Anyways, majority of you guys saying 4 out of 10. I think that's a really harsh rating for Lewis. I think that's taking into account, way too into account, his expectations and his, like, everything that comes with that. And not rating his season for what it is, which is an average season in a Ferrari. But yeah. Anyways, moving on. Who do you guys think I have in P11, the final driver to not make the top 10? Okay, I think that's a tier done. I think that's a tier done. I think we've had this tier. We had Tsunoda, Doohan, and Colapinto, who were their underperforming tier. Then we had the Lawson, Stroll, Sainz, Antonelli, Behrman, Bortoletto, Hamilton tier, which is like they've had good moments. They've been consistent, but it's probably more on the lower end. Now I think we're moving to the consistent, more on the higher end. Maybe 1 more driver and then we get to that tier, but still. 4 is rage bait, low key. I agree. I don't think you can use car adaptation as an excuse. Look at Alonso in 2023, moved from Alpine to Aston. At least in the beginning of the season, he was dragging that Aston. Yeah, exactly. Ocon, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Gasly, Ocon. Should be Hulk, Gasly, Ocon. Ocon, Gasly, or Hulk. Bro took 3 guesses. Ocon or Gasly. All right, in P11. I honestly, okay. I keep saying there's an argument this driver could be higher or lower. This driver I'm about to say, there's an argument he should be ranked 14th, and there's an argument he should be ranked, like, 8th. Esteban Ocon. Such a weird season. He's having such a weird season. What do you rate Ocon's season out of 10 so far? Get your votes in on the poll. If you're watching on TikTok, come join us on Twitch. Come get your votes in on the poll. Same with you guys over on YouTube. Come join us on Twitch, guys. If you're just tuning in, we're doing our mid-season driver rankings right now. Where's the primacy bias on Tsunoda? What's primacy mean? I love that saying, but I forgot what it means now. Anyways, let's talk about Ocon. So Ocon is currently 10th in the championship, which is one of the reasons why he's been bumped up so high. He's got an average rating of 6.38 in my driver ratings, which is good, you know, which is pretty good. Looking at his season so far, though, it's been very up and down. Like, he got a 5.5 in Australia, then he got a 9.5 in China, then he got a 2.5 in Japan, Then he got an 8 in Bahrain. Then he got a 3.5 in Saudi. Then he got an 8 in Miami. Then he got a 10 in Monaco. And then it's a 4 in Spain. And then an 8 in Canada and Austria. And then a 5 in Britain. And then a 7.5 in Belgium. And then a 3 in Hungary. Like, literally, one race good, one race bad. One race good, one race bad. One race good, one race bad. And, like, unlike Bortoletto or Liam or... Yeah, unlike Liam and Bortoletto, where start of the season was poo, and then they've kind of on an upward trajectory now, Ocon has been the exact same all season, which is like, one race I try, one race I don't. One race I beat Behrman, one race I don't. The difference with Ocon and Behrman, though, is that car is on the verge of points, and he's managed to get 27 points to put him 10th in the championship, whereas Behrman is still stuck down in 19th. Now, don't get me wrong. There was a lot of luck. Obviously, the luck in China with 2 cars getting DSQ'd, but I still would have given him the same rating in China regardless of how many points he got. He was just lucky to take away points with him with that result. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's an argument Ocon could be lower. There's an argument Ocon could be higher, and that's why I put him smack bang in the middle. But what do you guys think? 6 has put the car in some ridiculous places. No way you've put Gasly ahead. See, it's comments like that in Twitch chat, which I hate. No way you've done this. No way you've done that. But, like, why? What? No way you've put Ocon ahead when X, Y, Z. No way you've put Gasly below because X, Y, Z. Like, let me know why you think that. Calmac. What does that do? Welcome to the stream. Same with you, Anna O'Line. Ocon scored big in China and Monaco. Primacy meaning initial impressions. Right. No fucking way Gasly above, bro. What in the stocks? We call that the Ocon swing in the business. Did you calculate the variances on those ratings? What does that mean? Consistently inconsistent. Yeah. Has that not been Haas as a team, though? Yeah, true. True. I mean, that's what I mean. You could argue when Ocon's done bad, the Haas has been bad. When Ocon's done good, the Haas has been good. I disagree. He should be above Gasly. Ocon didn't have a good qualifying all the time, but most of the time it was due to issues that are not driver related. In races, he did what was needed from him. He listened to the team orders and made progress when he could. Top 10 confirmed. When you see Haas's perfect strategies and then the next race he uses the wrong tire, you understand the irregularity. Yeah, fair. Unsubbing as we speak. He's the George Russell of the midfield. Does nothing and somehow ends up on the point. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, to be honest. It's so over. We're so back, RC. And yeah, honestly, Ponden, is this ranking based on the average rating? No. Simple answer, no. But I did do my average ratings and then like adjust it from there because sometimes I don't think the average rating fully works, such as like Kimi got rated so high. Yeah. I only think you got Carlos Sainz wrong. Right, okay. Anyways, for Esteban Ocon, majority of you guys saying a 7 out of 10 season. That's crazy, man. A 7 out of 10 season for a driver in P11. I mean, that's really good. That is really good. It really goes to show the level of season we're having right now. But yeah, this is how the top 10, the bottom 11 have looked so far before we move on to the top 10. Ratings have been hype adjusted, lol. We remember Ocon before the 2 fries after GP China. Ocon's in a new car and Gasly same car. Ocon should get props for that. Ocon is getting destroyed in quali by a rookie. I think that's the thing. But we'll talk about Gasly soon. But I think that's the thing. You've got to remember, even though Ocon's having good results, he's still some races being outperformed by a rookie. I think this grid might be the most talented in F1. One of the most talented in F1. Yeah, I think it's the most talented F1 grid since 2013. I remember doing the math. I went through and I had a look. The last time a grid was this stacked, in my opinion, with talent, is 2013. Now, obviously, in a couple years, we could look back at this grid and be like, that sucks. But right now, before the season started, even right now, I think it's the most stacked grid we've had since 2013 or 2014. I can't remember which year it was. There was one year where we had like multiple champions, multiple talent who are now still in F1 and doing good or went on to do good stuff in F1. Yeah. Like the only drivers on the grid, like obviously Stroll probably has had his time in the sport. Yuki's obviously underperforming, but that's because he's in a Red Bull. And then the second Alpine seat sucks at the moment. But like other than that, everyone on the grid has the potential to be like a future race winner, future at a top team, or it's just like solid midfield drivers like Ocon and Sainz and yeah, Holt. 2012 had 6 World Driver Champions and 2 others who challenged for titles. He's been outperformed by rookie due to his team orders or shit strat, not because of mistake. Yeah, fair. The streets remember when Poden got rage baited by Alpine signing Ocon on a 4-year deal in 2021. Wait, what? 2012 was the best grid ever, you reckon? We're still rebuilding the talent stats. Took a big hit when Latifi was dropped. All right, moving on. Top 10. Who do you think I have in P10? I mean, I feel like I kind of alluded to it before. 680 drivers really tend to deserve their spot. Not sure if it's been that many before paid drivers in the past. Yeah. All right, in P10, I have got Pierre Gasly. I saw a lot of people saying Gasly's name quite early on. I don't understand the criticism for Gasly, to be honest. I think he's been in one of the most inconsistent cars on the grid. And I think with Gasly, I go into a weekend going, that's where the Alpine should be. And he puts the car exactly there. He's got a 5.85 in the driver ratings so far this season. Yeah, he started off the season with 6.5, 5, and 5. Then he got a 9.5 in Bahrain. Then he kind of went average again, 5.5, 4.5, 2. Then he got a 9 in Spain, a 9.5 in Britain, and an 8.5 in Belgium. I don't know. When I look at it like that, when I look at it at face value like that, I'm kind of like, there's a few average races, and below average races. But I think, yeah, he's in the most inconsistent car in the grid. I think the Sauber started off the season poor, but Hulkenberg was putting it in some decent spots, and now it's gotten good. The Haas knows when they're going to be good and when they're going to be bad. The Aston's pretty inconsistent, but both their drivers are kind of like getting points out of the car, whereas the Alpine, like, I don't know, I feel like Gasly's always finishing where I think the car should be most of the time. I don't know, Gasly's a hard one to rate, but I do think Gasly's been doing good. He's obviously been obliterating his teammate, that's for sure, but, you know, is his teammate of high value? Probably not. I don't know, again, maybe there's an argument to put Gasly lower, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much more to say about Gasly. He's just kind of been having a good season. I think the reason why I put Ocon below Gasly is because Ocon's been getting beaten by his rookie teammate, and you could argue a little bit of luck with Ocon's results, whereas Gasly, I think, has been putting the car in quite nice spots. Takumi Usui, mom of the stream, dude. Gasly has the same points as Liam Lawson. Gasly had but I think the Alpine's been way worse than the V carb, if I'm being honest. Gasly had an underrated season with a bad car and a bad strategies. Alpine is just dog shit. His level of driving should put him P10 every race. That's the thing. You got to remember, looking at Gasly's average rating, like it's higher than all these guys I've just mentioned before, which does show something. Like, he has been consistently there, like where he should be. You know what I mean? Gasly has destroyed his teammates. He started P4 in an Alpine and Bahrain. Sup, Basili on the stream. Gasly did a great job in qualifying, it's not gonna lie, but you can't blame the car every time he gives up positions. Swap Ocon with Gasly and we're all happy. Maybe done max yet. No, we're going in reversed order, so we're up to P10 right now, Jordan. Sup, James, thank you for the follow. What happened with Antonelli? What's happened with Antonelli then? Why I ranked him so low? He's just not had a good season, has he? All right, majority of you guys saying 7 out of 10 for Gasly. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't really have much more to say about Gasly other than he's just like, I don't know, done what he should in the car, to be honest. Alpine's been, I don't know, Sauber was the team that like no one was talking about. Now I feel like it's like Alpine's that team. It's kind of weird how it's changed. Yeah, don't really have much more to say about Gasly. Let's move on to the next driver. Here's how it's looking at the moment. All right, who do you think I've got in P9? My nose keeps running, bro. Oh my god, why does my nose run so much when I talk? Who have I got next? Oh, yeah. Alright. I guess he's a great driver and a terrible car. Stop inwards on the stream. Basili, don't even follow. By the way, guys, if you have been enjoying the stream so far, be sure to follow down below. We do activities like this all the time on the stream. Okay, Alonso, Hadja, Hulk, Hadja, Alonso, Hulk, Albon, Alonso, Hulk. Okay, 3 different drivers being mentioned. Interesting. All right, in P9, I have got Nico Hulkenberg. Nico Hulkenberg. Now, this man has had some fantastic results, but he's also had some poor results. I think I was looking at Tomo's viewer rankings, and they put Hulkenberg in P3. Huh? I don't agree with that at all. But I think there's a lot of recency bias around Hulkenberg. If you look at his season, though, it's been a very consistent season. He got an 8 in Australia, 4 in China, 5 in Japan, 5 in Bahrain, 6 in Saudi. So it was a bit like of a average part of the season there. But then it picked up. He got a 7 in Miami, 6.5 in Imola, 6 in Monaco, 10 in Spain, 9 in Canada, 9 in Austria, 10 in Britain. So, yeah, a few 8s, a few 7s, 2 10s, 2 9s, a lot of average results. Unfortunately, I think it's the last 2 races that has let him down a little bit. Obviously, maybe it's recency bias. But the last 2 races, he's been out-qualified and out-raced by his teammate. But that's kind of shown the whole season. You know what I mean? Like, I can't remember which race it was now. There's been quite a few races where Bortoletto's made it through to Q3, Q2, and Hulkenberg's stuck in Q1. But then there's obviously been vice versa. So, yeah, I think if you take into the fact that Bortoletto is a rookie and has been doing quite well against Hulkenberg, like I don't think I can put Hulkenberg higher than this personally. But he's having a fantastic season. I mean, I think that Sauber was a dustbin to start off the season. So for him to put the car where it was really good. And then the car got really good. But I think some people still think it was a tractor when it's not. But yeah. Yeah, that was after the Silverstone fandom. But still, like, yeah. I don't know. When I read out Hulkenberg's kind of results out loud, like 8, 4.5, 5, 5, 6. I mean, that's kind of average. But then 7, 6.5, 6. I mean, that's kind of average as well. But then 10, 9, 9, 10. Like, I don't know. He's had half the season has been average results. Half the season been great results. So, I think this is fair. I think this is fair for Hulk. I feel like sometimes we forget Gabby won F3 and F2. And just like Piastri did, he's just that guy. Yeah, fair. Although Silverstone was one of the greatest midfield drivers of the 2020. Bro, he's driving a WhatsApp car. Melbourne P7, Spain P5, 10 points. Canada P8, Austria P9, Silverstone P3. He's been good, but a bit overrated purely because of Silverstone. Yeah, fair. 7 would have put him ahead of Alonso for the podium and other good drives from the back. Podium boosted him. Wasn't that after Silverstone? I read that. This means Hadja's top 6, right? You have to wait and see. You have to wait and see, Benny. I actually can't remember where I put Hadja now. Benny, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. His quality has been pretty bad this season. Yeah, that's why I haven't put him above the drivers ahead. But his races have been phenomenal. His Silverstone race is not overrated as he made all the calls. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing you got to remember, all right? Silverstone, we gave him a 10 because he got on the podium. But he still qualified bad. And I think it was it Austria as well? Qualified bad, but still got into the top 10. Like his race pace is insane, but performance-wise, he really needs to tidy up those qualifyings. What's happening to my music, bro? Overheard Gasly P10 when the man drops like a stone and racing got out-qualified by Pinto like 3 times. He's been out-qualified by Pinto twice. I'm saying his season overrated because everyone focused on one result. Yeah, that's fair. I think it was one upgrade package with Sauber that turned their form around. Forget what race they bought it. Maybe Spain. Yeah, it was something like that. I think it was Spain actually. Anyways, enough about Hulkenberg. Majority of you guys saying, oh, tied on 7 or 8 out of 10. I'll probably give Hulk like a 7.5. Maybe. I don't know. It would be interesting to see how the second half of his season plays out with Bortoletto's current form. Yeah. All right. Moving on. In P8. Who do you guys think I have in P8? Silverstone podium is pure recency bias. Yeah, that's true. Hands in the air, let you feel the bass. Alonso, Hadja, Alonso, Hadja, Charles. Okay, that's the same guy spamming. Also, Borderletto beating him in the qualifying battle and matching him in the race battle so far. Yeah, true. Actually, I don't think it's that close, but yeah. Still spamming, bruh. Alright, in P8, I have got Fernando Alonso. I was shocked. Again, looking at the viewer ratings on Tomo's rankings. The viewers put Alonso in the bottom, like 12th or 13th, I think. They put Alonso so low. They don't respect this man. They don't respect this man's grind. Looking at his average rating this season, he came out best of the rest. In my driver ratings average, he's the best of the rest driver. I've not put him as best of the rest above Albon and Hadja. But he did come out above them in the ratings. Wait, let me just double check that real quick. Yeah. Yeah, so Alonso actually has a higher average rating than Albon and Hadja. But I've moved him down a few points because I feel like it's not Alonso's best work at the end of the day. Anyways, looking at the ratings, so Alonso started off the season with a 3 in Australia. Obviously, he crashed. That was poor. And then a 4 in China. And we're like, oh, shit. Alonso's being beaten by Stroll right now. What the fuck's happening? He redeemed himself a little bit in Japan, then had a bad result in Bahrain. But since then, he has not had a rating below a 6.5. From Saudi Arabia onwards, from round 5 to round 14, he has not had a rating below a 6. Oh, sorry, 3. He had a 3.5 in Belgium. My bad. But he got 8.5 in Saudi, 6.5 in Miami, 8 in Imola, 9 in Monaco, 8 in Spain, 9.5 in Canada, 9 in Austria, 7 in Britain, 10 in Hungary. I feel like this man has had an underrated season solely because of, one, Stroll's start to the season, where Stroll did outclass Alonso in the first, 3-4 races of the season. But 2, I think Alonso's expectations are so high. You know, he's getting podiums a few years ago. People are forgetting that, that Aston is not a good car right now. And he's consistently getting it into the points where he's... I mean, to be fair, he's 11th in the championship. He is behind Ocon and Hulk in the championship. But I think just like Hulk's getting praise and Ocon gets praise for putting the Haas and the Sauber where it is, I think Alonso should get praise for what he's doing. You know, he hasn't had an amazing 4th place result like Ocon or 5th place result like Ocon, and he hasn't had a podium like Hulkenberg, but he's consistently bringing home points for that team, whereas Stroll literally did it in 2 races. Alonso 8th, lol, give it up, pal. You're clueless. Thank you, David James, for sitting on my TikTok stream for an hour. Thanks for the view, bro. Alonso didn't score until Spain, but now he's been scoring since. I would love him to have more luck or a better car at the beginning of the season, but he's consistent lately, and that's what we love to see. That's the other thing. Alonso has been so unlucky this season. Remember the whole Alonso unlucky meme that was going around? You just can't take that into account with his into his performances. That Aston has been horrible as well, yeah. I don't know, I'm pretty happy with where I put Alonso. I'm really shocked that so many people want to put Alonso so low. I generally think he's been doing well. And I think the only reason people want to put Alonso lower is because of his expectation to do well. But yeah. Anyways, what are you guys saying in chat? It's because we expect Alonso to destroy the midfield car every year, yeah. The fuck are y'all saying Charles for? Mass unsubbed to Ponden. He spun and crashed in Melbourne. I mean, yeah, that was poor. It's because we expect... wait, that. I would love him to have more luck or better car at the beginning of the season. Wait. We've got Alonso podium if McLaren crashed in Hungary. That Aston have been horrible as well. He's a fantastic driver, just in a really bad car right now, yeah. All right, majority of you guys saying 8 out of 10 for Alonso. I agree. I'd give him an 8 out of 10. All right. We move on to the top 7 now. Big boys. It's big boy time. All right, there's an ad running right now. I'll be back in 1 second, guys. I'm going to quickly go toilet, and then we move on to the top 7. All right, while I go toilet, tell me why... tell me who you think... Write out the order you think my top 7's going to be. Oh, actually, no, fuck my order. Write out the order that you think the top 7 should be. From the 7 drivers that I've got left. Oh, back. First top. Alright. I'm back. Who's my favorite driver? My favorite drivers are Liam and Max. Okay, interesting. Benny, thank you for the follow. All right, let's get into the top 7 now. If you're just tuning in, we are doing our mid-season driver rankings. Yeah, grading every driver's performances of the season so far. We're going to move on to the top 7 now. All right, in P7, I have got Isaac Hadjar. Isaac Hadjar. What a season this man is having. Okay, wait, actually, first thing I should say before we move on to Hadjar is I think we're in the next bracket now. We're past the so we had the underperforming bracket down here with Sonoda and the Alpines. Then we had the Lawson to, let's say, Hamilton of like had some good races, but more bad races than good. Then we've had Ocon, Gasly, Hulkenberg, and Alonso. That's kind of the, like, had some bad races, but more good races. Now we're on to the, like, they have been consistently good this season, overperforming in their cars that they've got, or performing, yeah, overperforming with the cars they've got. Isaac Hadjar, man. Rookie. Now, look, his average rating is lower than, whoever I just said behind. Actually, is it lower than? No, I don't think it's lower than Alonso. One sec. Yeah, so Isaac Hadjar's average rating is actually lower than Hulkenberg and Alonso, who I just named behind. But I put him higher than them because he's a rookie. And I think he's been over-delivering in that car. He was somewhat matching Sonoda in those first 2 races of the season. And then now he's been outclassing Liam for most of the season. Yeah, he's obviously fallen off a little bit in the last couple of races of Liam's great performances. But I think that's more just down to VCAR being this weird team where, like, they only focus on, like, one driver being good and not both their drivers doing good. I don't know, it's weird. But he's been so consistent. Now, another way, one of the best ways to look at driver rankings sometimes is just how, if you took every driver on the grid, all 21 drivers, and put them in a car, the same car, where would they come out? And honestly, I feel like Hadja at the moment would generally be fighting the guys in front and fending off the guys behind with how well he's been doing. He's been so consistent and he's been at such a high level. Like that run, I mean, he's not made it out. He's not gone out in Q1 yet this season, which is crazy good for how tight this season's been. And as a rookie. By the way, TikTok, I'm just going to quickly end the stream and restart it. So if you're watching, come join us on Twitch. Otherwise, refresh my TikTok page. I'll be back in a sec. So I'm just going to re-go live on TikTok real quick. There we go. We start using a rookie bias once as a V-Cub driver. No, I've been using rookie bias a little bit today. Like specifically been talking about like Borderletto and Behrman and stuff. And Kimmy. Well, I kind of took it away for Kimmy, but yeah. Anyways. Hadja's been fucking phenomenal. Looking at a season so far, we gave him a 2 in Australia. That was bad, crashing on the formation lap, but his qualifying was good. 7 in China, 9.5 in Japan, 8 in Saudi, 8 in Miami, 7.5 in Imola, 10 in Monaco, 9 in Spain, 7.5 in Belgium. Then in between those races are a few 5s and 6s. Yeah, his worst rating of the race of the season was Australia, a 2 out of 10. Then he had a 3 in Britain. Everything else is a 4, 5, 6. He's been so good. He's been so consistent. Honestly, he should have more points than this for how well he's been doing. And I think for how good that V-Carb is. But I feel like V-Carb have really struggled, again, to just to use both their drivers in getting points. It's always one or the other. One driver gets the ult strat and it works. One driver gets the ult strat and they get fucked. I think that Hadja not having more points literally just comes down to the team, if I'm being honest. But yeah. What else do I have to say about Hadja? I don't think there is much more to say. Yeah, he's very impressive and consistently outperforming Liam. Some people might argue, oh, it's only Liam Lawson. But like he's been consistently making Q3, which is so hard to do with how competitive the grid is. But yeah. You have to say Lando 7th for rage bait purposes. It's lower, I think. I got PTSD from his chin after the most recent Grill the Grid. Oh, yeah, true. He's been pretty consistent too, which is the best thing. Hadja has fallen off a lot. Hadja's fallen off? I mean, he underperformed in Britain for sure. He got a 3 out of 10. But then he got a 7.5 in Spa, and he was average in Hungary. I think it's more just because Liam's been doing better more than him falling off. Hadja's been cooking this season. They did in Monaco. Kimi is in a better car and should do a lot better. I agree. Liam and Hadja in Monaco was a masterclass. They worked so well together. I don't really have much more to say about Hadja, to be honest. He's been smashing it this season. I think he's been consistently making Q3. I don't know. I don't have much more to say. There's the thumbnail of the stream. What's wrong with the thumbnail, bro? All right, majority of you guys saying 8 out of 10 for Hadja. I agree. So many great results, not many bad results, and consistently delivering with that car where it should be. So we'll move on. This is how it's looking so far. Yeah, I'll probably get promoted to Red Bull next season with this consistency. Let's hope he doesn't go in the bin though. All right. Who do you think I have in P6? Albon, Norris, Lando, Albon, Albon, Alex, Lando. If it is not Albon, you're doing something wrong. Lando, I'm confident Lando is not P6. Has to be Lando. In P6, I have got Alex Albon. Yeah, I think I saw a lot of people putting Albon above Lando or Charles in their rankings. I think sometimes people forget that the top drivers are in the top car for a reason. Don't be wrong. You know, we're going to talk about Lando and Charles and the other drivers soon. about how they might be underperforming relative to their car and their teammates around. But these guys are in the top car for a reason. And I think sometimes people like to put Hulk or Albon or these drivers above, say, Lando, for instance. But, you know, yeah, Lando could be doing better, but he's not doing worse than Albon. Let's be real. I mean, there's an argument for it, to be honest. There is an argument for it. Anyways, Albon. Let's talk about Albon. Albon has been killing it. 6.82 on the average rating. Now, that's the thing. I was potentially thinking about putting Albon higher. Maybe. But then when I averaged out his ratings from the season, he came out lower than Fernando Alonso. And he came out similar to Isaac Hadjar. Oh, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck just happened? Let's go back through. No. What's happened? No, what's happened? No. What have I done? How do I redo? I don't want it to leak anything. Oh, I see what I've done. I've undoed too many times. Okay, it should be good now. Otherwise, I need to reorder everything. Okay, we're good. Did I spoil anything, by the way? I don't think I spoiled anything, right? Okay, we're up to L1. Alright. What was I saying? I can't remember what I was saying. Anyways, I was initially going to put Albon higher. Or I was thinking about it. But once I saw Albon's average rating, I was like, okay, I've got to take that into account. You know, Albon has had some great results, but we can't forget about the 5s and 6s that he's had. Talking about the season, 9 in Australia, 9 in China, 8.5 in Japan, 7 in Saudi, a 9 in Miami, a 9 in Imola, and an 8 in Belgium. Some great results, especially in that first half of the season, multiple 9s and 8s. But then, in the second half of the season, 6.5 in Monaco, a 3 in Spain, a 5 in Canada, a 6 in Austria, a 6.5 in Britain, a 4 in Hungary. Don't be wrong. A 6.5 is, and 6 and 6.5 is still a great result. But I think you'd have to be consistently be getting, like, 8s to be ranked high with these other big dogs. So, yeah. I think solely because of his average rating over the course of the season being lower than what it should be. That's why I didn't consider putting him higher. But still, best of the rest for Albon. He's been absolutely smashing it. Consistently out-qualifying his teammate. Consistently out-racing his teammate. Getting the most out of the car majority of the season. And yeah, he's 8th in the championship. He's best of the rest of the championship. So nothing more to say, really. He's been smashing it. He has had a little bit of a downward trajectory recently. Getting a few mid-results. And ending with, I think, his worst result of the season. No, second worst result of the season in Hungary. So hopefully that doesn't continue for the rest of the season. But, yeah. I want a Liam Alex Hadjar podium. Imagine. That's a message from the universe to you. Change Ocon and Gasly. Albon should be higher than Max. Albon should be higher than Max. Lowell is there. He's 9 points behind his teammate and 1 behind his teammate. Wait, what? 9 great seasons so far for Albon, even after they've stopped developing the car, really. Alex could overtake Kimi. Yeah, he's close to overtaking Kimi. Now, Albon should win in Brazil 2025 because of what happened in 2019. Imagine. Taking into consideration the given car, Alex does an amazing job. Still some mistakes to qualifying, but they are still so rare that you may consider them being unlucky. Yeah, true. Not to mention, Albon has also been very unlucky. Not very unlucky. Had quite a few unlucky moments this season. Like, didn't he have like 3... Wasn't there like a period we got like 3 retirements in a row? 4 retirements in a row? 4 like non-points finished in a row, no fault of his own? I actually can't remember. Yeah. Anyways, majority of you guys saying 9 out of 10 for Albon. Again, I do think there's an argument he could be higher, but I think the reason why the top guys are in the top team is for a reason. And I think sometimes people like put their expectations higher. So I think if he's just a little bit more consistent, I could put him above a couple drivers in the top 5. But yeah. All right. Speaking of the top 5, we now move to the top 5. Who do you think I have got in P5? This is where it gets juicy. This is where it gets juicy. This is where I don't think you could do any order and please everyone. I don't think you could do any order and please anyone. He got a 6 in the start chaos, but his car broke. Who was 7th? Hadja Jivica. Flash, thank you for follow. Charles or Lando, George, Lando, Leclerc, or Max. People forget that after so many bottles, he's still only 9 points behind Oscar. How you guys have been talking about Lando since I fucking started doing this. All right. In P5, I have got. And if I'm being honest, I'm comfortably putting this driver here. From a driver rating standpoint, from a... Holy, the list isn't fucked for once. From a driver rating standpoint, from a championship contending season standpoint, I'm very comfortable putting this driver here. It's Lando Norris. I mean, if you've been watching the driver ratings this season, you'll know my opinion of Lando is you're in a championship winning car. You're in the best car on the grid. And you're still making mistakes. You're still getting outperformed by your teammate. And there's no consistency there. And the way I see it is if you took Max, Piastri, well, Piastri is his teammate, Max, Piastri, Charles, and Russell, and put them in that McLaren, I do think Lando's coming out P5. I do think Lando's coming out P5. Does that mean he's having a bad season? Absolutely not. No way. I hate people who are like, Lando's bottling, Lando's throwing away the championship. Blah, blah, blah. No, he's not, right? He's still in the fight. He's only a couple points down on Piastri. Do I think he's had a better season and a better driver than Russell, Leclerc, Max, and Piastri? No. But to rate him lower than, say, an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 season, I think is just criminal. But look at his average rating. 7.21 out of 10 in comparison to his teammate, Max and Charles. Yeah, he's got a lower average rating than Russell and Charles. Going through his season, right? He started off with a 9.5 in Australia. Obviously, won the race. Great race from him. But then China, he threw away so many points in the sprint. So many points in the sprint qualifying in the sprint, and finished behind his teammate. Again, remember, they're in the quickest car, so you're being compared to your teammate. Him and Piastri threw away a win in Japan, and then Bahrain. 4 out of 10 in Bahrain, I gave him. Do you remember that race? Do you remember the race where he made so many mistakes, and his teammate finished like 20 seconds up the road? I also gave him a 4.5 in Saudi Arabia because of the mistakes he was making. He had 8.5 in Miami. Gave him a 7 at Imola. Again, not getting pole and not winning the race. He got a 10 in Monaco, though. 7.5 in Spain because, again, behind his teammate. And I gave him a 2.5 in Canada. Obviously, crashing into your teammate and throwing away all those points is bad. He got a 10 in Austria, though. Then he found some form. 10 in Austria, 9 in Britain, 8.5 in Hungary. And then, yeah, I gave him a 7 in Belgium. I think people are forgetting that at the end of the day, the McLaren is the best car on the grid. They're the best team on the grid. They've secured the Constructors' Championship already, and one of them is going to win the Drivers' Championship. You are only comparing Lando to Piastri. But why are we sometimes having to compare Lando and Piastri to Max, Charles, and Russell? That shouldn't be happening. These guys should be getting pole, P1, P2 every single week. They should be winning the race every single week. Maybe bar Canada. Maybe bar Canada. These guys should be 1-2. So when they're finishing behind Max in Japan, or finishing behind, or crashing out in Canada, in Lando's case, of course they're going to get a low rating. And I think if you were to take Lando's name away, right? Take Lando's name away, take his face away, take McLaren away. If you heard that a teammate was finishing behind their teammate for most of the season. Again, they're quite close, but finishing behind this teammate for most of the season. And making as many mistakes as Lando's been doing, and letting a car worse than them out-qualify them and sometimes outrace them. I don't think you'd be rating Lando higher than 5th. I'm very comfortable putting Lando here because I'm so confident that if you put those 5 drivers in a McLaren right now, he would still come out 5th out of the lot. Anyways, I know it's weird that this is controversial because I don't think it is. A championship contender making as many mistakes as Lando is making and throwing away as many points as he is doesn't warrant higher than a 5th. And again, there's an argument he should be below L1, but again, I think from a average rating standpoint, I mean, you got to put Norris higher. Yeah. I don't think, Reed, you saying he should be perfect. I don't think Lando should be perfect. I think if you look at Piastri is driving at a level a champion should, which is making minimal mistakes and showing consistency across Grand Prix weekends. Lando, specifically in the first half of the season, was not showing that to me. Anyways, what do you guys got to say? Common knowledge, guys. Lando over Max. Of course, Of course, Max is over Lando. Wait, Lando over Max. This is legitimately a correct ranking. Hey, guys, please actually hear what he's saying instead of immediately discarding him. 12 podiums, 5 wins, and 1 sprint. No consistency. What do you mean? What do you mean? No consistency. He bummed out in China. Both of them finished behind Max in Japan. He threw Bahrain. He threw Saudi Arabia, and he threw Canada. And this is the other thing with Lando. That I forgot to mention is when Piastri misses out on pole, it's by 50 milliseconds. When Piastri misses out on a race win, it's by 1 position. When Lando misses out on pole, it's by multiple tenths. When Lando throws away a race win, it's by doing something stupid. It's not a bad season for Lando. It's just he's showing quite a number of flaws due to the car he's in. Exactly. I feel like Lando is faster than Piastri, but Piastri is more consistent. I would have said that. I don't know. I think they're very equal on pace right now, and the only reason Piastri's edging him is because of consistency. I think if you take... Does anyone know? If you take Max and Charles and Leclerc and all that shit out of the championship, how much would Piastri be leading the championship by? Because I feel like when Piastri doesn't win, Lando or Russell's won. Right? Like in Japan, Max won. In Imola, Max won. In Canada, Max won. But in all those races, Piastri finished ahead of Norris still. I love him winning his home Grand Prix. Got forgotten almost immediately. Well, that's the other thing with Lando. Like, if you look at Britain, you know, the reason Lando won that weekend was because his teammate got a penalty. He wasn't quicker than Piastri. Yeah. Orange Mercedes. I still think McLaren could have won in Canada if their drivers were better. I think Mercedes was... No, I think the Mercedes was always going to win Canada, to be honest. I agree that Lando makes a lot of mistakes and was trying doubtful moves to his team, but I still would say that his last race put him slightly above Charles, just 0.5. Yeah, I think Okay, for the people who are mad... Question. For the people who are mad that I've put Norris here, are you mad that he's not above Max? That he's not above Russell? Or he's not above Leclerc? Because I do agree there is an argument Lando could be above Leclerc. But I don't think there's an argument he should be above Russell, Max at all. And please don't tell me there's an argument to put him above Piastri, because hell no. Could have at least put him 4th on brand for LN4. True. In your opinion, if it's the driver below him in your mid-season rankings in the McLaren, who do you think is another potential threat towards him? Do you mean like as in like if they were in the car, in equal machinery? Is that what you mean, Sean Tan? Streets might forget him. His results are believable. In the first 7 races, Lando had 1 win. Canada George won. Then by your standards, I better see Oscar 4th since he's only leading by 9 points. No, but it's different though. ranking drivers based off their championship position or their championship's points, like, that's not how it works. Yes, Lando might only be 9 points down on Piastri in the championship, but when Piastri has lost a win, he's still been ahead of Lando. And so, 2 of the races that Lando's won, he shouldn't have won. And when you look at the performance, Piastri hasn't been making mistakes. Lando has. Yeah. Lando's been ahead every time we haven't had a McLaren win a bar Canada, to be fair. True, I forgot about Japan. I forgot about Japan. The others have all done more with lesser cars. Is everyone forgetting who got pole in Hungary? Believable driver in this world driver. Strikes confidence in a rival. Okay, what is this guy saying, bro? What is this guy saying? I actually can't believe it is... I don't know. I don't know. You've seen Lando's mum on TV more than Gasly. No. Unfortunately for Lando, his performance is just a bit better than Charles. Nowhere near Russ, George or Max. Yeah. That's what I mean. I can understand an argument for him to be better than Leclerc, but I can't put him above Russell, Max, or Piastri. I'm sorry. If that's, like, at all. I'm happy to have a discussion about Leclerc, but not the other 3. Anyways, I think we've spoken enough about Lando. I think at the end of the day, he's in a championship-winning car. The too long didn't listen. He's in a championship-winning car, and if you take the championship-winning car out of the equation, he is, in my opinion, underperforming in comparison to his teammate and making too many mistakes. Then you put into the fact that it's the quickest car on the grid and they're letting Russell have a sniff, Max have a sniff, and sometimes even Leclerc have a sniff. That is worrying to me, and that to me shows that if you put those 5 in the car, I think Lando comes out last, in my opinion. As of right now, this season. Does that mean I think he's the 5th best driver? I probably still would put him 5th behind those guys. But right now as well, I think he's 5th behind those guys. Anyways, majority of you guys saying 7 out of 10. That's low. Are you saying 7 out of 10 for his expectations? Or are you saying 7 out of 10 performance-wise? Because if so, you're putting Lando below Alonso, Albon, and Hadjar? No. Like, don't be wrong. Lando has high expectations, but, like, I don't think he's having a worse season than Hadjar. I still think you put Hadjar and Norris in the same car. Norris is coming out on top. 2K Rich, same for the follow. Pure hatred by giving him a 7. Performance because he has the fastest car. Interesting. It's funny, though, how, like, polarizing Lando is. Every week. I don't know what it is. Is it Lando fans? Is it hate? It's crazy. Every single week. I'll give Lando an 8, and someone's like, that's too generous. Give him a 7. Or you have people in that same chat going, that's way too harsh. Give him a 9. And it's the same here. You got people saying, oh, he should be high. And some people say he should be lower than Albon. Like, I get it, but it's crazy how polarizing it is. I think it just comes down to the expectations and the thoughts on Lando as a driver. Anyways, this is how it's looking so far. We move on to the top 4 now. We got some ads running right now, so we'll continue once the ads are done. But yeah, guys, if you've been enjoying the stream so far, be sure to follow down below. If you're watching on YouTube or TikTok right now, come join us on Twitch. That is where you can type in chat and vote for who you want to rate. Wait, I actually didn't really read much in chat about Lando, did I? Canada finished under safety cars. Everyone forgetting who got pole and... No, I did read chat, don't I? American engine had some problems, but why did McLaren's engine have some big problems? Yeah, true. Bro, saying Piastri Russell beats Norris is kind... Bro, saying Piastri Russell beats Norris is kind of disrespectful when Candy has destroyed Piastri. Lando has destroyed Piastri both years. Why is 2022 and 2023 relevant at all? Like, Piastri's gotten better. Merc and Aston engine has had some problems, but why didn't McLaren? Yeah, true. This is the problem. A lot of these rankings get based off of the fact that he's in the fastest car, so should be on the top. Man, I don't know. Lando's so polarizing every week, man. Mate, Stroll should not be 10 behind Alonso. He has been better this season. Stroll better than Alonso. Gotta disagree. Flash Mix Swiss, save for the follow. Fourth should be Charles. I think Oscar has been very slightly been better than Charles, but open to it being the other way around. Yeah, the next four. Okay. I think the next four, I can confidently say, maybe you disagree with me, but I think if you take the next four and put them in the same car, I genuinely couldn't tell you who would win the championship. I could probably predict, and I could probably predict and give you my opinion, which is basically this order that I've gone for. But I generally think, like, the next four drivers, like, you put in the same car, Russell might win from consistency. Max might win from consistency, but he might try race Piastri too hard one race, crash, and then Leclerc gets the points. Leclerc might outqualify everyone, and just hold the lead because he's the best qualifier. I think what I love about these four drivers right now are they're such great, consistent drivers who are put in the car where they shouldn't be. I mean, you can obviously argue Piastri is in the fastest car and he could be doing better, which is something we'll talk about once we get to him. But, yeah. Whereas Lando, I can confidently say against those five drivers, and why I've ranked Lando in fifth, is I don't think Lando could beat those drivers. Like, I'm confident. Like, I generally think if you put Lando against those four, he wins the championship 1 out of 10 times. Maybe 1 out of 20 times. You're telling me he would have the consistency and the pace to outqualify Leclerc consistently, and Max consistently, and Russell consistently. He can't even outqualify his teammate and outrace his teammate consistently, let alone those three. I don't know. I generally think 1 out of 20 times he wins the championship against those five right now. Buzz, you're saying Russell would beat Norris in the same car, but I'm from... Okay, your messages aren't making sense. Sorry, man. I can't read your messages. You've not got any commas. You haven't got any full stops. You haven't got any apostrophes, and you got spelling mistakes. Soz to diss, but I can't read it. I dislike George so much because he is a dick, but I have to say his driving has been fantastic. How many Heineken Zeros have you had today? Heineken Zeros? Lewis behind Ocon? Oof. Yeah, Ocon's had a good season. Isn't last year an example the Ferrari wasn't slow? Lando just isn't consistent, yeah. I think Lando just lacks some, like, oomph at the moment, man. He just lacks some oomph. He has better race pace than everybody, though. He makes mistakes, but recover well. That's the thing, though. Okay, actually, that's a good way to word it for Lando, right? What is Lando's greatest strength, other than marketing? What is Lando's greatest strength? It's his race pace. But his strength is still weaker than Charles, Max, and Russell. But what do Charles, Max, and Russell have as well? They have other attributes that make them better than Lando. Consistency, qualifying pace, strategy, communication with the engineer, making the right setup. I think that's the best way to describe Lando is his strength. He doesn't have a standout strength, in my opinion. Max has dick size. Race pace and time management, it used to be qualifying, but it's difficult this year. Lando can nail P3 from pole every time. Charles has strategy. Charles fucking doesn't have strategy for sure. I'd argue Lando's strategy better than all of those. Lando's strategy better than all of them. Yeah. To be fair, his strategy in, Hungary was good. Leclerc was making mistakes too in 2022, but Ferrari was still in the battle, yeah. Anyways, alright, we've spoken enough about Lando. I fucking hate talking about Lando. It fucking pisses me off, bro. Just perform better, and then I don't have to rate you so low and have your fans get up me because you were a good driver, you could be a good driver. I don't care if he could be a good driver. He's not fucking on the top fours level right now. Anyways, moving on. Next up, in P4, who do you think I've got in P4? It's so funny, though. Like, Some people be like, you're hating Lando for putting him in P5. Meanwhile, I've got people in chat being like, you're too kind for Russell to Lando for putting him in P5. Oh, you can't win, bro. You can't win. Leclerc, Russell, Leclerc, Oscar, George. Oscar, Charles. Very Leclerc of Leclerc to be P4. Yeah. In P4, I have got Charles Leclerc. Yeah, I think, again, I'm comfortable putting Leclerc here. I think he's been a more consistent driver than Lando. I think prior to the last couple rounds, let me just fact check this real quick. Yeah, prior to the last... to be honest, Leclerc's been on it since Monaco. Yeah. I was going to say prior to the last couple rounds, I'd probably still put Lando above Leclerc, but yeah, Leclerc's popped off. Looking at Leclerc's rating, I mean, Leclerc's got an average rating of 7.75 this season. Lando has an average rating of 7.21. Fun fact, actually, Leclerc and Russell, after 14 rounds, have the same average ratings, which is crazy to... in my opinion, how like equal they've performed in a way. Anyways, Leclerc started off slow this season. A 6 in Australia, a 5 in China. Then he got a 9 in Japan, a 9 in Bahrain, a 9.5 in Saudi, 9.5 in Monaco, 9 in Spain, 9 in Austria, a 10 in Belgium, and a 9 in Hungary. He's gotten so many 9s. It's fucking crazy. But they've also been sprinkled in with a few 6s and 5s. And a 2.5 in Britain, which brought his rating so far down. To be fair, if he didn't have that fucking stinker in Silverstone, his rating would be so much higher. I wonder how much that brought it down, to be honest. But yeah, I think Leclerc, you could argue, you could argue, right? The only reason Leclerc looks good is because Lewis has been disappointing. But I think it's the other way around. I think Lewis looks worse because of how well Leclerc's been doing. We know how consistent Leclerc is. We know how good of a qualifier he is. We know how good he is at just putting that car in places it shouldn't be. I think the thing with Leclerc, though, is like sometimes we'll end up finishing a race and we're like, was Leclerc bad or was Ferrari bad? And I think we now know after watching Formula 1 since 2019 that it's mainly Ferrari's fault. But yeah, again, I'm very comfortable putting Leclerc above Lando. I think he's had a more consistent, higher level season than Lando. Just I think because Leclerc's only made a handful of mistakes. Lando's made a lot. The reason why I've got Leclerc below the top 3 is I think I think he's just lacked that oomph until the last 2 races. Like those last 2 races, like Belgium and Hungary were fantastic, but I think he's just always been like close but not there. Like Monaco's a prime example actually of like he probably could have got pole. He probably could have got the win, but he didn't. And that's nothing against Leclerc. I still gave him a 9.5 for Monaco. But like Max has done it in Japan and Saudi. Russell has done it in Canada and Bahrain. Piastri's obviously done it a lot this season, but Leclerc's just not had that like wow. Well, I mean, to be fair, Belgium, I gave him a 10, but yeah. Maybe, yeah, you could argue maybe it's just because, like, Leclerc's expectations are so high, but, yeah. Joseph Keeg, name of the follow on the stream. All right, what do you guys say about Charles? The only reason why Lando's strategy was good in Hungary is because he made a mistake. No, it's because his strategy was good, and they decided to take a risk. If he made a mistake and the strategy wasn't good, then the strategy's not going to be good, is it? The strategy's supposed to be good for it to work. So you think if you put Oscar in the same car as Charles, Oscar will beat him? Right now, I think if I was looking at, okay, this is the thing. I think if you were if you put Charles, Oscar, Russell, let's just use them 3 in the same car, looking at their careers as a whole, I would put Oscar 3rd. But looking just at this season, I think I would put Oscar above Charles. But we'll have to see how the rest of the season plays out. If Oscar keeps up making a few more mistakes and maybe ends up losing the championship to Lando, then I'll change my mind. But right now, I think he's shown that he can put it to Max in a few races, and he's shown that he can put it to Lando in a lot of races. A few mistakes, but feel like he's getting more out of the car than it offers. Silverstone, Canada, Miami, Australia made so many mistakes this season. Of course, he had a good performance, but Norris had also good performances. Fair, fair. Sup, Loco, on the stream. Why does it look like Charles is wearing lip gloss? He just got moist lips, man. He just got moist lips. You can never know. If the car suited both drivers, I think Charles would beat Oscar. On Lando, apparently they only risked the strat in Hungary because of the mistake at the start. I think that's what they meant. Yeah, no, I know. But you can't... What I'm saying is you can't be like... Lando's strategy wasn't even good. Well, it was good because he fucking won the race. You know what I mean? Who was fifth? I'll change screens in a second so you can see. Oscar had Australia and Silverstone, but what else? Exactly, Chico. Exactly. We'll talk more about Oscar soon. Anyways, enough about Charles. Majority of you given him a 9 out of 10 for his season so far. We now move on to the top 3. Who do you guys think I have in third in my mid-season rankings so far? Lando Norris only 9 points behind Piastri. Russell, Oscar, Russell. Yeah, but the championship. I hate this argument. Sorry, I'm not crashing out you. I'm just crashing out anyone who says that for any season of Formula One. Whenever I hear, yeah, but the championship points. Was it 2021 or 2022? Sainz finished ahead of Leclerc in the championship points. Did Sainz have a great season? Yes. But every single Grand Prix, he was getting out-qualified by Charles, getting outraced by Charles. The only reason he got more points was because a couple races, he lucked out. And Leclerc was very unlucky. If you just look at the championship table, we may as well fucking just rank them based off the championship table. The championship table doesn't show the full story. I think my point is, right? I look at Piastri and I go, other than a couple races, right? Well, we're going to talk about Piastri soon. Other than a couple races, I can look at Piastri and go, he's done the best his talent and him as a driver can do, other than a couple mistakes. Whereas Lando, I look at it and I'm like, you have so much potential. Lando, in my opinion, should be winning the championship by 30 points. That's the way I see it. Oscar. What's up, spiky cheese? Well, this should be Piastri if we're going by if same car. Kubica beating Russell 1 point to 0 in the 2019 despite him. Exactly. Kubica better though. You got that 1 point. I hate the whole he's only 9 points behind argument. He should be 25 points in front. Anyways, enough crashing out. In P3, I have got George Russell. Again, I think there's an argument. This man could be higher. But I think third's fair. I think third is very fair. He has had another amazing season. Again, same average rating as Charles Leclerc. Him and him tied after 14 races. Yeah, going through Russell's season so far, he got a 9 in Australia, a 9.5 in China, a 7.5 in Japan, 10 in Bahrain, 7.5 in Saudi, 7 in Miami, 7 in Imola, 8.5 in Spain, a 10 in Canada, a 7.5 in Austria, a 7 in Belgium, and a 9 in Hungary. He's only had 2 races below a 5, and that was Monaco and Britain. Other than that, he's had a 7 or above. Compared to Charles, who has had more high ratings, such as 8s, 9s, and 10s. Charles has also had a few more lower ratings, so they kind of like balanced out in the end, which is interesting. But yeah, I think this is just a prime example of what Russell is as a driver. He's just so consistent, man. He's consistently there. Some people might think he's worse than Leclerc or Orlando this season because he hasn't done anything. He just gets the results. But I think it's a prime example of like, I come into a weekend and I'm like, Mercedes should be P4, but maybe they can get a P3. And that's what Russell does every single week. I'm like, this is where you should qualify. He does exactly that, if not better, most of the time. And that's what I'm loving about Russell in general as a driver, but specifically this season. And again, I'm very comfortable putting him P3. Excuse me. Do you think Max can beat Piastri in the same car? That's another conversation, but I think, yeah. Top 3 all interchangeable in my opinion. Yeah. I think I don't like saying, to be honest, I don't like using that terminology personally. Top 3 all interchangeable. I think the best way to word it is, I think if you take the top 4 in my rankings and put them in the same car, anyone could win. I think my personal opinion would be Max would win out of the 4, but what he could retire one race and Russell could be slightly more concerned. I think, put it that way, those 4 would be so tight you could not predict going in like into the season. Max would probably have the best odds, but like any of those 4 could win on any given day. Maybe Leclerc could just out-qualify all of them every single race and just hold them off because of dirty air, you know what I mean? Because that's his strength. Or maybe Russell or Piastri will win because they're consistent. Yeah. Monaco is only bad because of the engine failure in qualifying. That is true. That is true. I didn't give him a low rating in Monaco. I gave him a... What did I give him in Monaco? Oh, no, true. His lowest rating of the season. You're right. My lowest rating I gave Russell of the season was a 4. He did have an engine failure in qualifying, but he was also slow. He was going to go out anyway. And then what he did in the race was just so shit. So I just gave him a low rating. But yeah, to be fair, his lowest rating, really ignoring like any issues with the car, is Britain, where I gave him a 5. But then they just tried something different. The strategy didn't work. George does nothing. Podium. Oscar hasn't done nothing special with the quickest car. We never seen him dominating like Max, for example. We'll talk more about Piastri soon. Hey, George be 1 above Max, you reckon? I disagree. I disagree. He gets so much out of the car. Piastri is a full shafted Max on multiple occasions. Max would beat everyone at the moment in the same car. Max would beat anyone in any car at any time. I mean, there wasn't anything to do in Monaco. Yeah, true. I don't think Lando should be above the top 4. It just doesn't make sense. Rank him. Dude, what is up with YouTube chat? Since we were rating Jack Doohan at the start, the YouTube chat's been talking about Lando. And now we've finished rating Lando and they're still talking about Lando. Bruh. YouTube chat, you're crazy. All right. I don't think there's much more to say about Russell. We've spoken about him. Just consistent, always there. Again, could win the championship if he was in that McLaren. But we'll never know. Majority of you guys saying a 9. More people giving 8s to Russell, though, than Leclerc. Wait. In chat, who do you think's had a better season? Russell or Leclerc? Who would you put higher? Russell, Leclerc, Russell, Leclerc, Russell. Too close to tell. I mean, look, they did have the same driver rating, average driver rating. So I get it, it's tight. But I'd safely put Russell above. All right, we move on to my top 2. I don't think this is controversial at all. But I don't know. I've seen a lot of people in chat agree. I've seen a lot of people in chat disagree. So I don't know. It's just going to be a discussion. I'm going to reveal the top 2 and then we'll go back to second, talk about second, and then we'll talk about P1. But yeah, who do you think I've got in P2? Leclerc over Norris. Yes, sir. Had a better season, George, but in terms of his performance, George looks better because of Ferrari effort. Yeah, true. You could argue the Ferrari's making Leclerc look worse. Thing is usually either Merc or Ferrari having the better car. Not sure if they'd directly battled much. All right. So, for people just tuning in, how I've come up with these rankings, right, is first off vibes. I first did a list. I ranked all my drivers from worst to best, best to worst, off of my vibe. And the driver I put in first ended up having the highest driver rating average from my driver ratings as well. If you don't know, every single Monday after a Grand Prix, I rate all the drivers. And then I've added them all up. And I've gotten a driver rating. So not only have I put this driver in first based off of how I feel, I put them in first based off of my driver ratings from the season, performance-wise. So for that reason, I've got Piastri in P2 and Max in P1. I think some people are going to disagree, but also I think a lot of people understand that it's performance ratings. So coming back to Piastri first. In P2, I got Piastri. Get your votes in on the poll. What do you rate Piastri's 2025 season? So Piastri has an average rating of 8 from the season so far, and Max has an 8.35. The way I look at it, between these two, I do think they're the two best drivers of the season. Again, I think Leclerc, Russell, Piastri, and Max, you put in the same car, I think it's a great fight for the championship. But the reason why I've got Max as the best driver this season so far, that could change, is if you look at Max, he's only had one race, at 2 races this season, Spain and Hungary, where you could look at him and be like, he should have done a lot better. Taking Russell out in Spain, that was so stupid. Lost a lot of points. And Hungary, he could have done a lot better. Yuki was quite close to him in qualifying as well at one point. Whereas if you look at Piastri fumbled in Australia. They fumbled the pole and the win in Japan. They fumbled pole and the win in Imola. He fumbled pole and the win in Monaco. He fumbled a podium in Canada. And when you compare it like that, and looking at the average ratings over the course of the season, Max has been the most consistent and high-delivering driver of the 4. Does that mean Piastri's had a bad season? Absolutely not. That's why he's ranked in P2 above Russell and Leclerc. I think Piastri's having a great season. But I do think, I said it before, I do think Lando should be beating Piastri in the championship. I think, if you look at Japan, if you look at Imola, if you look at Monaco, and you look at Hungary, like Lando has been the better driver. And I think there is room for improvement with Piastri. I think it's hard. I think it's hard at the end of the day. You've got 2 really high-level drivers in Piastri and Lando competing against one another. So naturally, Piastri's going to do worse, say, get second place at a Grand Prix like in Hungary. And we're going to be like, well, look, you didn't beat your teammate. Whereas Max, Charles, and Russell don't have that. Leclerc's teammate is struggling. Russell's teammate's struggling. Max doesn't even fucking have a teammate at this point. So we're only looking at them. So I think naturally I look at Piastri and I go, well, you didn't beat your teammate here. You didn't get pole here. You didn't do this here. You didn't do that here. And maybe it would be a different story if you didn't have a teammate to compete with. But the argument to that is, why is Piastri in the fastest car losing pole in Japan? Losing pole and the win, in Japan. Losing pole in Saudi. Losing pole in Monaco. Losing pole in Imola and the win in Imola. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the way I see it, is I just don't think they are... I just don't think he's delivering to the best he can, and that's why I think Max has only had a couple races this year where I'm like, he could have done better. Whereas I think it's a little bit more with Piastri. Anyways, what do you guys say about Piastri? Max is far above the rest, put them in the same car, and he wins 75% of the time, you reckon? I wouldn't say 75%, but I think he'd be favorite to win. If he just irons out the errors. No, 100%. 100%. I do think maybe at the end of the season, it's hard. On Piastri's current trajectory, there's a world where Piastri finishes behind Leclerc and Russell in the drivers, in the rankings. But if he goes back to the form he had at the start of the season, where he's really consistent and always edging Lando, I think he can maybe even move up to P1 above Max with the way Max has been performing in the last couple of races. If in 2023 Max didn't win every race, he would be P2. That's why Oscar is P2. He didn't put results anywhere near that. That's a very good point, Epifair. That's a very good point. Look at Max, right? In 2023, he won almost every single race in the fastest car. Yes, that car was more dominant than the McLaren now. But we were never sitting here going, well, if Max got pole, or if Max didn't lose to his teammate, or if Max didn't win this race. Whereas with Piastri, there are a lot of ifs, and I think That's why with drivers like Russell, Leclerc, and Max, week after week, it's more like, wow, they did the max with their car. Whereas with Piastri, I'm like, oh, he could have beaten, he could have lost, he could have beaten Lando here, or he could have beaten this driver here. Lamar, if you'd put Russell in P1, I could have understand, but Max in first, stop the car. Max coming behind Lewis and Bahrain. You really hate McLaren, in my opinion. I don't hate McLaren. I'm just very critical of McLaren. Did you change your shirt? I've not changed my shirt. Can we get a constructors rankings? Not off the top of my head right now. Besides Australia, 10 out of 10. In general, I would put Max above, but I don't think he currently deserves P1 above Russell and Piastri. He's not had great performances. There's no way you can put Oscar second. Max has had some big mistakes like Spain and GP, Saudi. Max could have won an Oz if him pitted during the wet. Oscar has had way more dominating. That's the thing, though. I don't think Lando... There's only been a couple races where Piastri's dominated. China, Bahrain, Saudi, Spain, and that's it. I mean, that's 4 races. Whereas there's been a lot of races where Max, Russell, and Leclerc have majorly outperformed their cars and dominated their teammate. I think it's just at the end of the day, Piastri and Lando are just gonna make themselves look kind of worse because they're both good. Oscar has ifs, Max doesn't. That's a good way to put it. Anyways, enough about Piastri. Majority of you saying a 9 out of 10. Yeah, I don't think it can be. I don't think it's 10 out of 10. I think we can all agree. No one's had a 10 out of 10 season this season. I don't even think at the end of this year anyone will have a 10 out of 10 season. Unless maybe someone like... dominates for the rest of the year. Such as Lando or Piastri. I don't think anyone's going to get a 10 out of 10 this season. Like, no one's having a Lewis 2020 or a Max 23 or a Max 22 or Lewis and Max 2021. Like, yeah. No one's having a 10 out of 10 season at the moment, in my opinion. Anyways, majority of you guys saying 9 for Piastri. I do agree on that. Which means, in P1, I have got Max Verstappen. Again, based off of vibes, I would still put Max as the best driver on the grid so far this season. But also based off of the driver rating, he's got the highest rating. So I think, like, that made me feel happy with myself. That, okay, not only do I feel like he's P1, but the stats in my ratings say he's P1 as well. But anyways, votes up in chat. What do you rate Max out of 10 this season? Max had a 10 out of 10 start, but he ended his World Driver Championship hopes sooner than he should have. Well, okay, for the people saying Max should not be P1, what could have Max done differently this season to do better? Spain, not crash into Russell and throwaway points. I agree. And Hungary, driven better. When has he under-delivered other than that, though? Like, under-delivered. Like, wow, your performance was not good. Saudi? Didn't he get pole in Saudi? What did he do in Saudi again? Max got a 9 in Saudi. I gave Max a 9 in Saudi. He qualified on pole in Saudi. What did he do in Saudi? I'm not saying he's not P1, by the way. Build the car himself, yeah, apparently. You could say the same for the McLaren Oscar. Oscar, I just listed all of Oscar's... places where he could have done better. Australia, he could have not bottled. Japan, he could have got pole and finished ahead of his teammate. Imola, he could have got pole and finished ahead of his teammate. Monaco, he could have got pole and finished ahead of his teammate. Canada, he could have finished on the podium. And Hungary, he could have finished ahead of his teammate. Spain is the only drive from Max that was bottled. He shouldn't have been below P3 with the second fastest car on the grid. Max shouldn't have been below P3 in the second fastest car on the grid. Wait. You think Max is in the second fastest car on the grid? Okay, maybe that's where these ratings are different for people. I don't think Max has been in the second fastest car on the grid since Miami. No. Since Imola. Who do you think has the second fastest car? Since Miami? Sorry. Since Imola, Ferrari and Mercedes have been trading or both been ahead of the Red Bull. In my opinion. But at least one of them has been quicker than the Red Bull every race since Monaco, I think. Roughly. I scored Max the same as Oscar 9, but it's only due to his mistakes, and Oscar made more mistakes and didn't perform at his best, so I still give him 9.5, but I had a choice. Their RB is fast. They've just bottled their strats. You think Red Bull's bottled their strats? What do you mean their setup? Ferrari's only quicker in race pace, not quali. Or do you think that's because Lewis is just not quick in quali? Okay, weirdo. Red Bull would be 8th in the constructors if you take any other 3 Red Bull drivers' points and doubled them. True, true. I hope you're not calling me a weirdo, because I agree. Yeah, they're set up right, yeah. Anyways, I don't really have much more to say about Max, because I kind of mentioned it all with the Piastri thing. But yeah, 9.5 in Australia, 9.5 in China, 10 in Japan, 9 in Saudi, 8.5 in Miami, 9.5 in Imola, 9.5 in Canada, 9 in Belgium. Then mixed in there are a few 8 and 7s, with his lowest result being a 5 in Spain, where he chucked the shits and threw away points. And his second lowest result, ignoring a head loss, was a 6 out of 10 in Hungary, where, I mean, it was below Max's standards. But I just think they just didn't suit that track, if I'm being honest. But yeah, Silverstone isn't a bottle on his side. He had a dry setup. Being slow is the car, not Max. Yeah, I completely agree. Well, I mean, he could have done a better setup. What did I give Max in Silverstone? Yeah, I gave him a 8 in Silverstone, because I think he outperformed that car that he had, but it's still his fault that they had that shitty, well, partly his fault that they had that shitty setup. What rating did you give Max at Spain? I gave Max a 5 at Spain, because he still performed well, but I just knocked off a lot of points for crashing into Russell. Anyways, majority of you guys saying a 9 out of 10. I agree. He's not had a perfect season, so I wouldn't give him a 10 out of 10. So there you go. There are my mid-season driver rankings. I think the top 5 is going to change a lot depending on this end of this season. I think there's a world Albon could creep into the top 5 if one of the like Russell, Leclerc, Norris fall off and Albon picks it up. I think there could be a lot of change in the mid. There's gonna be a lot of change in the midfield, and I could see a world where Liam moves his way up quite far. But yeah, before we end though, I want to ask you guys, who is your number 1 of the season so far? Charlotte, Claire, Lando, Norris. All right. Poll is up in chat. 1 for Max, 2 for Oscar, 3 for George, 4 for Charles, 5 for Lando. We'll type their full name out. Who is your number 1 of the season so far? That might be a better way of doing it. Max had higher highs than Russell, but lower lows than Russell. I don't think so. I think they had the same amount of lows, but I think Russell's lows were lower, personally. Nothing to complain about when it comes to Max. Antonelli, yeah. I thought Antonelli was going to be... Okay, after you guys have rated who you think the number 1 driver is this season, who do you guys think is my most... What do you think my most controversial or, like, out-of-place driver is on these rankings? I don't understand the Gasly over Ocon. Esteban is probably the most underrated driver on the grid. I think the reason why I've got Gasly above Ocon, I think Gasly's been a bit more consistent. Ocon's been very up and down. And I think Ocon's had lucky results. And that's not me taking away from Ocon. It's more just like Gasly's had to work for it, whereas Ocon, like, the reason he's got a lot of points, one of the reasons he got a lot of points is because there was 3 DSQs in fucking China. Lewis, Lando, Stroll, Lando, Stroll, Stroll, Lando. You think Stroll? Where should Stroll be? Where should I put Stroll? Higher than that? Damn. If you guys think Stroll should be higher than that, actually, we need to go look. I want to go look at some other YouTubers. I want to look at some other creators' predictions now. Could be above Behrman. Wow. Chico, Tide Centaur, LS Partan. Thank you guys all for the follows. We're on the stream. Okay. Majority of you guys agreeing Max 1. Oscar 2. Oscar 2nd most votes. And then Russell 3rd most votes. Wow, okay. Yeah, it's funny. When I was doing my ratings, I was like, I'm going to get shit on for putting Max at P1. But I think he's been the best driver this season so far. I think the only reason people are not talking about Max is because he's not in the championship fight anymore after 4 seasons. That's it. And 2, my driver ratings backed up Max P1. But then it wasn't until I went to T-Max chat and everyone was like, Max, Max, Max. And then at the start of today's stream, I was like, who would you guys put P1? And so many people putting Max. I think the difference is the people who put Max P1, this is just my opinion. I think the people who put Max P1 have a reason to put Max P1, whereas the people who don't put Max P1 have a reason to call you biased and stupid, but not a reason to put Max not P1. I don't know. Like, all the points are just like, what the hell? This, that, and the other. It's just like, but why? Why wouldn't you put Max that high? I think a sign should be 12th. Got fucked by strategies. Wait, I think sign should be 12th. Got fucked by strategies and bad luck a lot of the time. I mean, he's definitely top 3, but first is crazy work. So, again, you just haven't said why shouldn't he be P1? You've just said it's crazy work. Ham should be around 15th, you reckon? You think he should be lower? Overall, that's okay. Swap Anto and Lewis, in my opinion. Really? I wouldn't put Antonelli, but Baudelaire and Behrman, personally. But yeah, I always love doing this stuff. I mean, sometimes reading chat's not fun when new viewers come and chat and they're just fucking toxic, but it's fun to actually have a discussion with people and see what people think. Because sometimes, especially the driver ratings on Monday, I always have my mind changed so much because of you guys and like pointing things out. I think the only thing, after talking about everything today, the only thing I would change, like I generally want to change, is Lawson and Stroll. They're the only 2 I want to swap. But then again, you guys were saying Stroll's too low, so I don't know. But yeah. Anyways, guys, that is going to wrap up the mid-season driver rankings. If you enjoyed, be sure to follow down below. We'll be doing driver rankings at the end of the season as well, where we'll probably have some things change. Yeah, if you don't know, every single Monday after a Grand Prix weekend, we do driver ratings. So be sure to tune on in every Monday after a Grand Prix to rate with us, which obviously helps us in doing the rankings like we did today. But the stream's not over. I'm going to have a look at the spreadsheet now a little bit off on the stream and look at other content creators' rankings for mid-season. But if you're watching on TikTok or YouTube, I am going to have to end the stream there. So come join us on Twitch. But yeah, I really do appreciate you guys all tuning on in today. It was really good. I always love chatting with you guys, minus the toxicity when you do stuff like that, because people don't know how to have a fucking proper conversation. But for the people who were chill and the people who did discuss their opinions, whether you agree with me or not, thank you. I really do appreciate it. But yeah, thank you guys all for watching. YouTube, gonna end it there. Come join us on Twitch. Otherwise, have a good rest of your night, morning, evening. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.